Hello, Internet. Welcome back to the Fast Travel Lounge. You listen to episode 73. My name is Patrick. I'm joined by Saif. Say hi.
Hello.
And he's back. Steve, well, I'm going to say hi, but you never do, so say something.
Bonjour.
I was actually going to say bonjour because
I was in Nova Caledonia. I probably butchered that pronunciation like I did all my French, but I've returned.
That was very wrong, but I appreciate the effort.
Yeah, you speak French Canadian, so it doesn't really count. It's not even a language.
So, Stephen, I told everyone that you went on a fishing side quest to try and get Josh out of the underwater level. How did that go?
We actually caught a couple of fish. We didn't catch any Joshes. We needed the master rod to get that, but to get the master rod, we had to put a lot of master baiters on the end of the hook.
I was just about to make that exact same joke. Fuck you.
But no, yeah, we did catch a bunch of fish. We went a bit sailing, so pretty much Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, like the boat parts of that, cross with.
Did you broadside some someone else's just sailboat, just minding their own business?
Yeah, no,
did you sing pirate shanties?
Yes, that was the only thing that we sung. To the point where I got evicted.
Day 2.
Day 2. Sorry, Steve, you got to go. Oh, okay, cool. Pull up to land, and I'm like, no.
Walk to the plank.
Yeah, but a lot of poop deck jokes, a lot of
nice.
Did you see scurvy dogs?
Did you see if DoorDash did delivery to where you were?
There was only one door on the boat, so I didn't bother. Like it would have just been awkward. And we didn't have phone reception as well. That was genuinely speaking, it was pretty nice to not have phone reception for 6 days. Like just sort of disconnect, and you sort of like, because there was 9 of us in total on the boat, just to talk to people and play board games and read books and stuff.
All right, like weird reverse. It was real nice in the group chat with you gone for 6 days. Same reason.
Yeah. Just I could quite imagine. It was just probably because no one was talking, because it's always me saying the most controversial stuff to get a laugh. Actually, no, hang on. I'm gonna have a bit of a rant here. So, as we know, and we'll talk about it a bit later, Tears of the Kingdom came out like the Friday that I was on the boat, and we did this planning session about a month ago, and I was like, oh yeah, cool, like. Can I bring my Switch? Should I bring my Switch? And everybody laughed at me thinking I was a big joke. So, look at this guy. I've gone on a boat just to play video games. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm mad.
Definitely.
It's literally my only hobby. The only thing I do outside of work, but whatever, like fine. And then, so I don't take the Switch, whatever. I get on the boat, like day 2. One of the guys is like, oh, hey, Steve, can I borrow your Switch charger? I left mine at home. And I'm like, no. Like, I did bring my Switch. I was like, I thought we could get like 8-player Mario Kart going on or something. I'm like, oh, fuck you, dog. And then one of the other girls was like, oh, yeah, I brought my Switch, but I left all my games at home. And I'm literally just sitting there just fucking seething. I was like, huh.
Did you push their Switches into the water in solidarity?
Let's just say I switched them out with something from the poop deck, if you catch my drift.
Whoa, you did that YouTube prank where you run around breaking people's Switches and give them Switches instead?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
Except it's just an IOU, a Switch.
Yeah.
So they're not out yet or anything.
Yeah, not that you are in New Caledonia.
What was really funny is that Steve actually wrote UOI on those sheets of paper.
Minor spelling mistake.
Yeah.
No, they get in touch with us. They like and share the podcast with 5 friends, and they hit the subscribe button on YouTube. And they're in the sweepstakes to win a Switch.
A Switch.
Yeah.
That's
I'm back.
I would believe it if I were listening to this right now. I would absolutely assume that is gospel and 100% fact.
Well, just in case you don't believe us, like, subscribe, and share with 5 friends. And test your friends at the end of the episode. Like go to your friend's house, sit in the room, put us on, and just watch them for like fucking however long.
I'm not sure if this is legal.
Sorry, Seth. Are you a cop?
Yes.
You legally have to tell me.
You have to tell us if you're a cop.
Yeah, no. Yes, I'm a
Yeah,
cop.
cool. All right.
On the ground.
Make the disconnect discount the Discord disconnect sound in edit.
Oh my god.
Very funny. Haha.
Would have been if you got it on the one shot, but don't worry. You'll get there.
I
You're
will
a bit rusty with
instead
no
add a
internet
noise
reception.
to make fun of Stephen.
You do that every week.
Yeah. But
it's always more fun to do that.
You know what? Just for that, I've got a lot of metal spoon on coffee tinking noises this week.
You do that every week.
Yep, cool. And now this one I'm going to do it deliberately. So there'll be half as much.
You do it deliberately every week. You literally messaged me before we start recording saying, I'm going to do it again this week. And I tell you, please, Steve, don't. For the love of everyone's ears, don't do it. And you said, I think the words were, fuck you, you're not my dad. And then you typed the words tink, 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 which
it sounds like me.
It didn't translate very well.
Yeah.
But
Don't worry, that guy's
The intent was there.
funny.
the intent was there. That's him, officer. That's the one with the intent. All right. So I feel obligated to ask what you've been up to this week, Steve. Has that been it? The nice, relaxing, unwinding, living, laughing, and or loving?
Yep, a lot of living, a lot of laughing, a lot of loving. Yeah, and as soon as I got home, I sat down. I realized that I hadn't bought Tears of the Kingdom, so I quickly bought it, waited for it to download, and then I played it, and that was
buying a game at full price. Who are you, and what did you do with Steven?
Well, technically, it wasn't full price because I got that. The Switch does the weird buy one, pay 75% of the next one. So I got Tears of the Kingdom and Xenoblade 3 for I think it was $130, which makes it like what, $70 each, $65 each. It isn't bad. It's not good, but at the same time, it'll go on sale for like 1% off in 7 years' time when Tears of the Kingdom 2 comes out. So I got the options here, big fella.
You're going to look really silly when Tears of the Kingdom comes to Game Pass.
You know what? That's okay. If I look really...
That is a legitimate threat to Steven.
If the sacrifice is me looking silly so that we can get Tears of the Game Pass... Tears of the Kingdom on Game Pass. Tears of the Game Pass. That's a sacrifice.
There are Tears on the Game Pass already. But we'll get there. We'll get into that.
Will we? No, we won't. Anyway, that's pretty much all I've been up to. Tears of the Kingdom.
Fair enough. Saif, what about you? What have you been up to?
I almost was just Tears of the Kingdom this week, but Fanatical did this thing where they gave away Hotshot Racing for free, so I've put a little bit of time into that, and I'll share how that's gone.
The way you put so much emphasis on that, I'll share. Obviously, you'll share. Who the fuck else is going to share?
I was trying to talk without letting the strepsil hit my teeth on microphone.
And now the truth comes out. And,
the truth is I'm still coughing my lungs out.
True. And I ended up seeing Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which we may or may not end up talking about. I have some possibly even controversial opinions.
Someone needs to bring the spice.
Ice Spice? It's Ice Spice. Did we get Ice Spice? Finally, we got Ice Spice.
No, I said I spy.
Sure. You spy, I spice. Right, why don't we... Actually, no, screw it. I might as well just talk about Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm seeing everyone else talk about it at the moment, and that way we don't have to bring it up again next week. Can't
believe they got Mario to do this.
Yeah, fresh off the back of, just spanning Nintendo's extended universe. Context. I really enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I don't think, because it's been ages, I enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy 2 that much. I haven't seen either of them in a while. So
I really liked Guardians 2 when I saw that. I thought it was a really well done story, and the funny moments in that hit really well. Also, I remember Guardians 2 better than I remember Guardians 1.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I remember the broad strokes of both, because Guardians of the Galaxy 2 came out 6 years ago, which is a crazy long time to think about. But I remember thinking the film was sort of fine, but then the whole big villain reveal and things towards the end of it, I don't know, it sort of lost me a little bit. It sort of drowned itself out a little bit.
The things they do with the villain in 2 is a little weird, but I think overall, like, just real quick, like, talk about the first 2. The first one,
sure.
The first one I thought was just a funny movie. It has good bits in it, but it's mostly just a space comedy. While the second one has an actual decent story going on through it about family and connections, and also on top of just being a bit of a funny movie, it's just, that last little act with the villain gets a little out of hand.
I literally do not remember this second one in the fucking slightest. I'm rereading the plot,
the synopsis,
synopsis on Wikipedia,
the Spark Notes. You're gonna brush up for your English test.
There were a couple of things I'm like, oh, that name rings a bell, but I think he was in the first one. So was it the second one that, like, it turns out he's like the son of a god or something?
Yeah,
That's the second one.
Okay.
He's
Then
the
what's
son of
the
Kurt
first-
Russell.
I don't know who that is. Or
A literal god.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at. So all of these opinions, with those two points in mind. Yeah, and then I guess also other recent MCU stuff that came out. Really liked Thor Ragnarok, which I realize is also very old now. Haven't seen Love and Thunder, but
Don't.
What?
Don't.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to, but I think the hate for it is overblown. It's just mid.
You know what? Fuck you, Seth. The hate for you is underblown.
Oh my
I still don't
God.
get paid, so it's pretty. The hate's there.
That's not hate.
No, that's just because we hate unions.
Yeah. No, that's just nihilism, which is even worse. I just don't even think about you.
You barely even register.
We
When
close this
we're
podcast
talking
down.
back and forth during a workday, he's just talking to a void, and I reply sometimes.
I can't believe that while Steve was listening to last week's episode, there was just long pauses where I didn't say anything.
Yeah, it just sounded like you were replying to someone, but I never heard it.
Yeah. Anyway, so Guardians 3, it seems like everyone that watched this film has said that it's like the greatest MCU film for years. And there's obviously
They've been on a
this sort of-
downward spiral.
Yeah, well, that's the first thing. Is it the best film? I'm asking this of the people that say that it's the best film in years, not necessarily you two. But if there's a fairly broad agreement that MCU recently has been mid, with the exception of a couple bits and pieces that have done pretty well,
Like Multiverse of
MCU
Madness.
Yeah, I didn't like that one either. Let's be real.
That's
Yeah.
why I said it.
I didn't mind it.
Yeah, there we go. No, it's been fairly mid overall. So when people say that it's like the greatest film in a while, is that just because it's good relative to mid, or is it that it's actually good? Because those are two different things. But yeah, I don't know. It just the whole film felt tonally frustrating to me. And this might be a little bit of rose tinted glasses with what I remember of Guardians 1 and Guardians 2, but the film just is sort of all over the place when I think of what the story of it actually is. And the whole Will Poulter's character, Adam, felt shoehorned like nothing else. There's an excellent sort of mocking synopsis of the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 pitch meeting on YouTube, which sums up a couple of those points really well. Of just, we set it up at the end of Guardians 2, so goddamn, we got to put it in Guardians 3 somehow, even if it's just the minorest of plots. But yeah, I think the film does a few things really well. I think I enjoy okay, so broad plot, because I didn't even know what the plot was going into this. Broad plot, movie opens, Chris Pratt is drunk, which was funny because that wasn't a character choice, he was just drunk on set. But because they paid him so much, they just left the cameras rolling. And Gamora is apparently dead, but then also revived after all the Avengers stuff. So they're no longer together. And then Adam flies into where they're all based and basically puts Rocket into a coma. Basically, Rocket is now dying. And so the whole film is we need to go save Rocket. Meanwhile, Rocket's going through these traumatic flashbacks of how Rocket came to be. And like, I get what the film's going for, but it feels weird that so much of what the emotional payoff of the film is trying to do is based on flashbacks from ages ago. So what I mean is, we see a lot of about how Rocket came to be created, being an experiment by some guy called the High Evolutionary, who I guess just for fun likes to experiment on specifically Earth animals, which I thought was kind of funny. No like weird alien creatures or anything in sight, just purely Earth creatures. Interesting choice. Experiments on Rocket, does the whole like Wolverine thing of like replaces bits of him with robot, and then turns out Rocket's really smart. Cool, fine, whatever. The problem is it means that we're now going through these sort of two kind of timelines. There's Rocket's sort of flashbacks while Rocket's dying on a table, and we're learning about Rocket. And then there's the rest of the Guardians trying to figure out a way to save Rocket. And the problem is, there's this big emotional climax towards the end of the film where it's sort of a merging of these two moments where Rocket is dying, and there's this sort of flashback that happens. I guess spoilers. I won't do any major spoilers, but some moderate spoilers. There's a big flashback where Rocket, on death's door, sees one of his old friends who is dead in the current timeline, and so it's this big emotional thing of like, oh, it's you, from before, and it's this like, come with me into the afterlife type moment. But the thing is, it's all playing out in the current timeline of Rocket Raccoon just in a coma on a table. So if we didn't have any of the flashbacks, there would like so much of the heavy lifting of the emotions of the emotional side of the film has to be done in flashbacks. Otherwise, there is none, and it makes the film feel weirdly kind of two-toned, because there's this big like Rocket is dying, we need to save him, urgency, combined with long sequences of the characters just bickering and putting funny moments in for the sake of funny moments.
Yeah.
And I get that. Yeah. That's kind of the flavor of Guardians. I sort of get that, but it feels like it really should have either picked one or made it a way less serious overall plot to bicker within. Like I'm not even sure if this is inaccurate to say. It's like it feels like a 2-minute long, which is long in film time, 2-minute long bickering piece between like Drax, Mario, Chris Pratt, obviously, Nebula, and Mantis. And they're all bickering over which communication button controls which communication channel while on the outside of a space station. And it's funny in the moment, but it's also like, guys, you're apparently really concerned that your friend is has like 24 hours to live or something. What are we doing? It's all over the place for me.
So when you hang on, so when you say it's all over the place, it seems like and maybe this is, I'm overcomplicating it. I'm not a cinema or a cinephile, whatever discussing people that like movies.
A cinema stop.
So it seems like you've got what's happening in the present day, and then you've got Rocket's flashbacks.
Yes.
Is it doing like what, and to use a TV show as a shit example, what The Witcher season 1 did, and it's just, you don't know where the timeline is as you're watching it?
Oh, no. You know exactly where the timeline is.
Is it context clues, or is there a subtitle? Or meanwhile, in Rocket's memory.
Well, like Rocket, because it's a Rocket flashback, Rocket is like much, much younger, and all of the flashbacks are based on Rocket as a young raccoon. So it's real obvious when it flips back and forth. And it's not the flipping back and forth that makes it all over the place. It's the fact that when you watch the film, there will be moments that sort of hit you emotionally, but the moments don't feel earned because they only feel earned because you've seen the flashbacks, but because the flashbacks aren't part. It's kind of like, let's say the three of us are chatting, and then suddenly Seth starts coughing his lungs out, and we go, haha. I'm sorry. Bad response. What I mean is, I'm sorry that's happening to you, Seth. I hope you get better soon. That's what I meant to say. If we then find out that, and that's the sort of normal response, Seth's coughing his lungs out, we want him to get better. If we then find out via a note that he leaves in Discord, I had like pneumonia as a child, and I've got like lung damage that is persistent through that. Suddenly it's like, oh, that little nugget of information, which I otherwise wouldn't have come across, now informs how I feel about Seth coughing his lungs out. So all the other future moments where Seth's coughing his lungs out, they are now influenced by this sort of piece of information that had to be delivered. I guess I'm not sure I'm quite explaining it right. All of the characters feel sad because Rocket is dying. Granted, that makes sense. We as the audience should feel sad that Rocket is dying as well, because we like Rocket, and I personally think he's probably my favorite character in Guardians of the Galaxy. So it feels like the film is trying to do too much if James Gunn, as the director of it, goes, we know the audience is probably feeling sad that Rocket is dying on a table, but let's make the audience feel more sad when we show graphic depictions of animal abuse explaining how he came to be Rocket Raccoon. And because the characters in Guardians of the Galaxy don't know a lot of this, and we as the audience are learning about this, even to where the characters don't know about this stuff, it just puts the audience in a weird spot, because now we're not, now we have more information than a lot of the characters, but the point of the information is the same. We feel bad that Rocket is dying. We want to save him. It doesn't change how we feel about the character. It just piles on the emotional trauma. And so that's why it feels all over the place, because now we have more emotional trauma with Rocket, and then we see extended moments of them bickering, or the first F-bomb dropped in a Marvel film in a bickering scene, or Guardians of the Galaxy talking with the High Evolutionary in the kind of like villainous showdown where they're bickering, and it's just like, who are we trying, like, what is the point in broad strokes here? I'm not saying that I want a film where there's no comedy and it's super serious and everyone knows what they're doing, but the film literally within 5 to 10 minutes is Chris Pratt is drunk and trying to get over Gamora. Rocket is now dying because he's been basically had a hole punched through him by Adam. Adam has his own weird set of motivations, which in the film make such a minor point that the whole film feels kind of weird that it's driven by such a kind of freak accident. And then we as the audience are sitting in the middle going, we want Rocket to live because we like Rocket. Currently Rocket's dead, but all the other characters are making haha funny moments. So what are we supposed to feel? That's my issue with it, is that it doesn't know which direction to go, and then the direction that it does go doesn't feel invested enough for what it tries to do.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you raised about the fact that when it really boils down to it, Rocket is an animal, and if he is dying, it is teasing on the hearts of, oh no, the animal's been hurt, like, therefore we care about it more. Yeah, I get the... I get the feeling you're overanalyzing it. It is a Marvel movie, just...
Yeah, I know. But
at the same time, we're talking about it and analyzing it for the sake of content. So I regret what I said. But at the same time, it seems like it's a bit of a heavy movie. Is that the vibe that I'm getting?
It's much darker than the haha funny kind of cookie cutter Marvel films.
They really want this to be a big send off for the Guardians, because James Gunn is moving over to DC movies now, and
that's right, he is too.
They're not going to do another movie without him, and the Guardians cast doesn't want to do another movie without him. And
I'm surprised
doing heavier stuff on the third and last movie makes sense.
I'm surprised Disney didn't make him literally shit the bed just to be like, nobody will think you're a good director anymore.
Well,
the directors only do that to themselves. Just look at how the Game of Thrones directors handled that last season when they were like, oh yeah, we get to go do Star Wars, and then they fucked it up so bad that Disney removed their Star Wars contracts.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Star Wars Episode 8 as well.
Also a reminder that James Gunn, remember that controversy from a couple of years ago? Someone found some old tweets, and then Disney was like, hey, you're not doing Guardians of the Galaxy 3 anymore. And then he went and did Suicide Squad, and then Disney's like, actually, you're a pretty good director. Let's pull you back in for one more ride.
Was it because of that, or was it because Dave Bautista said, if James Gunn isn't doing Guardians 3, then neither am I?
Probably a combination of the two. I ended up watching Shay Frillis. I never know how to pronounce his channel name. YouTube sort of media guy. His review of Guardians brought that up. And what was funny is there were also some points, like he started trying to draw an allegory between the High Evolutionary being a controlling corporate elitist who really wants to ham-fist sort of rule with an iron fist over where the IP goes. And Shay Frillis was talking about how it's kind of funny that's kind of how Disney operates, isn't it? And just really makes you think whether or not James Gunn sort of ramped up the antagonism for the villain to match how things had gone down with Disney. I don't know. It was all kind of hearsay, but it was certainly an interesting thing to think about. I don't really have too much more to say. It's odd to me that everyone is praising this movie, not because I think the movie is bad, but just I don't see all of the praise that this movie deserves from everyone else. I think it's very shallow, and if the film didn't have 2 films worth of, actually more than 2 films because it's part of the extended universe, it relies so much on having seen other material to appreciate what's happening in this film that it just doesn't, it misses the mark for me, and it's a shame. It does some things well. I haven't spent enough time talking about that, but yeah, the bits that the bits that really confused me are the bits that I spent the most talking about now. So overall, I don't know, 5 or 6 out of 10. Like, I don't regret seeing it. It's just not the 9 or 10 out of 10 that everyone else seems to think it is. But that's all I'll say on that. Am I wrong? Let me know. Why don't we move on to what I'm sure will be the rest of this? Actually, Hotshots Racing first. Oh, okay.
What'd you give it out of 10? Sorry,
5 or 6.
Interesting.
Why?
No, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, 5 or 6.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like
the mid range.
Yeah, but look, I think there's ratings for normal movies, and then there's ratings for Marvel movies.
Oh, great! Here we go. We got the Pokemon scale for Marvel movies.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, all right, Steve, hear me out. If Guardians of the Galaxy 3, the final send-off, the 3rd film in the trilogy, much like Emerald was the 3rd game in the Hoenn trilogy, had the Battle Frontier.
It is really funny. There is no Battle Frontier. Is the Battle Frontier in the room with us now?
No, and that's the problem.
And that's the problem. Yeah, thank you, Seth. Finally, an ally here. I'm sick of this hostility. Yeah, let's run the Pokemon scale. Let's bring the Battle Frontier into this. They put the Battle Frontier in Guardians 3. Boom, easy 9 or 10 out of 10. I can see why everyone loves it.
Okay.
You happy now? Now I'm upset.
Look, the important thing is, you know what? That's fine. Yeah, let's leave it there.
Okay, leave it there. We will. Let's hit Hotshots Racing real quick, and then we'll spend the rest of this episode talking about Tears of the Kingdom, I assume.
Yeah, let's find out when Guardians of the Galaxy. You saw it in a cinema.
I did.
Okay, let's see when it comes to Disney Plus. That's when
it's usually about 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months. Fuck, that's fucking nothing. At least August.
And Ant-Man just came out on Disney Plus.
Oh, fuck yeah, Ant-Man. Man, I'll have that in the background.
Quantumania?
Yeah.
That one is a legitimately bad film. That one I would give a 3 or 4 out of 10. Maybe
I'm
also,
excited to watch it now.
Maybe that's why I'm so annoyed at Guardians 3, but yeah, and Ant-Man, that's probably the worst Marvel film I've seen in a long time. And I remember dunking on Multiverse of Madness. That film didn't need to exist. Neither did Quantumania, but Quantumania hurt me while it did it.
I didn't mind.
It's so funny because Quantumania exists to set up the new villain for this phase. And they've replaced the actor now because of all the allegations against him.
What?
Yeah, he I can't remember if it was domestic abuse or like just hitting women or something. But yeah, there's a lot of allegations against actor for Kang the Conqueror. And so they've just gotten rid of him. So the entire reason for Quantumania existing is now void.
Paul Kent moment.
I love that the film now just doesn't do anything now. I don't even know if we ended up talking about Quantumania. I'm not going to talk about it now.
I don't think we did. No, yeah. And I think you just got so angry you didn't want to talk about it. So let's,
probably
I will watch it.
Yeah, what an absolute mess of a film.
I hated the first 2 Ant-Mans.
Ant-Man 1
I like
was
the first one.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Yeah. Maybe you don't have a soul.
Yeah, that bit with Thomas the Tank Engine, legitimately very funny. I still think about that gag every so often. Very funny.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I scrubbed that movie from my mind.
Where they're fighting in the micro world. It's like a train battle, and then it zooms out to what's actually happening, and it's just a Thomas the Tank Engine train going around a track, and it falls over. Very funny. I laughed a lot at that.
Good. I should rewatch Ant-Man 1.
Yeah, I haven't seen Ant-Man. Well, I've seen the second half of Ant-Man and the Wasp. It was on TV. But what I wanted to hit real quick, you saying 3 months before it comes to something that we can all view. It is crazy. It's crazy how short that loop's gone. The
Mario movie just came out on digital platforms for people to buy, so that's only about a month and a week or so.
Well, actually, you're wrong on that, Seth, because it was shown in Argentina about a week after its release, so that had the fastest loop of all time.
But that wasn't official.
Argentina seemed to think it was official. But no, I remember when I was in Canada watching Finding Nemo, which was funny because my parents kept saying it was Finding Elmo. And so when it starts and there's a fish, I'm like, where is Elmo? This is not what was promised. Excellent film though, but I had been called a liar for like several months before that came even to cinemas in New Zealand, because it was the sort of pre-internet, well, it was the pre-widespread internet days, and it was the kind of schoolyard chat where we're all just dumb sort of 5 and 6 year olds, where, I mean, someone comes to school claiming to see a movie that you've never even heard of course you're going to call them a liar. But man, kids these days just don't know the struggle. What I'm saying is we should ban the internet. Anyway, Hotshots.
Oh man, holy based.
Yeah, so Hotshots Racing, like I said before, Fanatical was doing a deal where they were just giving this away for free for a limited time.
What's Fanatical?
As of about an hour ago, it is no longer up. Fanatical took that deal away. Let me finish my sentences and then I'll answer the question.
I will continue to interrupt you. You know how this goes. You say three words, I interrupt.
Fanatical is a website where you can buy keys for Steam and other.
It is true, Saif. Actually,
platforms.
Steve does do that to you a lot.
I know. I've got to stop letting him. But yeah, Fanatical is just a website where you can buy PC games. I think they also have Xbox games. Yeah, basically CD keys, but this is I believe Fanatical is a actual storefront and not, hey, we stole these keys and we're reselling them online for cheap.
Hey, those keys fell off the back of a truck, okay?
Where do you put the keys? In like the disk drive or something? No computer's got a disk drive these days.
No, Steam has a little lock you got to just digitally do it on.
I'm not going to be doing that.
Yeah, well, I've got lockpicking 99, so...
Yeah? Well, I've got lockpicking 69. With that guy's
nice. You know what? I regret saying nice.
Full price.
Yeah, let's all talk at the same time. It's my favorite part of this show.
You've got lockpicking 69, but you also got grave robbing 99 for that guy's wife.
Ooh, that's...
You walked into that one when you made the joke.
Yep. Yeah, have I...
Just like you walked into... I'm not going to finish that.
Yeah, no. So this Hotshots Racing, eh? A lot of shots, a lot of hots, a lot of racing. 7 out of 10.
Do you want to talk about the game?
No.
You seem to have a good grasp on it.
A good grasp.
Well, let's just start with, is he wrong?
Technically, no.
Yeah, I fucking knew it. You know what? Pay up, Zeph. $7 million.
Sure, I'll just take it out of my budget.
Yeah, cool, mate. What's 7 million times 0 again?
We need that budget for the pizza party on Friday.
We getting a pizza party?
I hope
did I say we? No, my bad.
I hope you can buy pizza with that $0 I get paid.
Yeah? Well, pizzas are 0 shaped. So, saying, do your own research.
They're not 0 shaped, they're O shaped.
Yeah,
Zeros are more oval.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Talk about this Hotshots race and I'm done. Done being a smartass.
Yeah, so Hotshot Racing is an arcade racer by Sumo Digital, and I know them really heavily from doing all the Sonic racing games. They did Sonic Racing Transform, Sega Superstars Racing, all those games, and their racing systems are really fun. So that's why I just kind of jumped at the deal. It's heavily inspired by games like Daytona USA and Virtua Racer, to the point where it's mimicking those low poly looks for those games. And overall, it's just an arcade racer. There's no like massive story mode to this. There's online modes and some other modes like racing styles that I haven't delved into yet, like a cops and robbers mode and a race and drop bombs behind you mode. But yeah, I haven't touched those yet. I've only just gone through and done Grand Prix races. But yeah, the driving systems in this game are pretty good. Drifting feels great. Every time you drift, you build up a boost, and you also build up boost by slipstreaming people. So when you're in first place, the only way you're going to really build up boosting is by doing drifting. But when you're behind the pack, you can do slipstreams to also build up, which I think is a decent way to kind of balance out how to catch up to other people that are pulling ahead. Yeah, honestly, I don't have a whole lot to say about this game other than it's just really, really enjoyable. I've been having a lot of fun playing this game. Each racer has their own personality in this. There's like 10 racers, I think. No, nine racers. They've all got their own little backgrounds and personality traits, and whenever you finish a Grand Prix, you get a little ending cutscene going, and this is what they did after they won the Grand Prix.
So it's like the Tekken slideshow
Yeah,
After they won the
basically.
tournament. Fucking hell.
Actually, I think you mean the Balan Wonderworld story epilogue.
No, I think you mean the Redfall story cutscenes. Those are all fucking slideshows. Guess who played a
The
bit
Babylon's
of Redfall?
Fall story in general.
That a story?
But yeah, just one character I'll list off real quickly is a Jamaican named Marcus who he was a world class sprinter, but he's broken his legs. So now he's gone into
Fucking hell.
So now he's gone into racing,
That's
and
sad,
after
man.
winning the Grand Prix, he's like, racing is cool. Being the fastest man alive doesn't just mean it has to be in sprinting. It can be in any form. So he starts taking up flying planes after winning the car racing Grand Prix to go and take over that world,
So did he
that
go
racing
racing?
world. Yeah, you're right. He just needs to go and take boats as well.
Yeah. Probably interested in
But yeah,
furries.
every
Someone
character
needs to
just
stop Marcus.
No, hang on, wait a minute. He's racing us to be a podcaster.
His wife and kids miss him dearly. They haven't seen him in months.
Is his wife that guy's wife?
There
That
is
guy-
a
that
guy in
guy?
this game you could describe as that guy with a wife and a daughter.
Daughter, you say? Actually, you know what? I'm not going to keep going.
Yeah, put
Yeah,
the shovel
don't
down,
because
Steve.
she's a newborn.
Oh, fuck.
Oh god.
I'm just going to turn myself in. Off a cliff.
Good.
There he is, officer.
No, I'm just going to turn myself in off a cliff.
Yeah, that too.
So how does the
Take
racing
pics.
stack up? Are there cool items? Are there like weird drift
No,
mechanics where you can
it's
get a boost?
just racing. There's
Just
no
racing. There's no takedowns
there's-
like Burnout.
no takedowns, but when you can ram other people and just knock them off course, sort of thing, like make them go sideways or into a wall, and getting that done to you is devastating. Like it really knocks you out of the race if you just get knocked off course once. There's also a time mechanic in this, like Daytona USA and Outrun all have. So there's 3 checkpoints along the track. One of them being the starting line, and the other 2 just being in the middle of the track. And you have to reach each checkpoint within a time limit, otherwise that takes you out of the race as well. Like very, very arcadey inspired system.
So when you say the old arcadey style system, obviously that's the time limit, but I guess does it feel like, because I think my thoughts are all over the place here. Obviously it's like a race, I assume, right? Like a circuit race, you can come like first, you can come last, that sort of thing. The
Yeah,
fact that
yeah.
there's a timer is
Man understands the concept of racing.
yeah, but okay, that's not where I was going with Steve. But thanks for the affirmation. So when we think about the timer specifically, that's quite an archaic mechanic. Do you think it still has a place in this, or just in sort of modern racing games in general?
Honestly, I think it works in this, since this is being an arcade throwback sort of game. The time limit is generous enough where I haven't had it be a problem yet, but I've also just played on normal and hard modes. I've dipped my toe into expert, and I was 2 seconds away from losing a race because I was just about to miss a checkpoint. But that was also because the CPU knocked me into a wall and I had to recover. So I think if you just drive cleanly, then the time is not going to be a problem at all. And yeah, so it's tough to say. Like it's neat. It's there as a throwback to the old arcade races, but at the same time, if it's not doing anything, why is it there? Sort of
A
thing.
little bit, yeah. Like it'd be weird if in the next round of Mario Kart DLC, Nintendo was like, "Oh yeah, also we're putting an arbitrary timer in," you know?
Yeah, it'd be really
Well,
weird.
it's time
but
trials.
I-
It's literally just time trials. Like it seems like what they've done is there's like the racing component and time trials, and they combined it. Maybe time trials isn't it for checkpoints. I don't know where I was
Yeah,
going.
no,
with this.
there's the time trial in this game is just you run a lap with maxed out boost and you just get infinite tries at doing the lap over and over again until you get the time you want.
Oh,
so
weird.
yeah. Oh, that's how they handled it in I think the last 2 Sonic racing games. The one before that was run the lap 3 times and just try to get it under a specific time. But the other 2 have just been, do a clean lap and try to make it as quickly as possible to beat the developer times. And it's fun just doing infinite laps over and over again, shaving off a little bit of time every every lap unless you really fuck up. But yeah, it's an odd game in that some of the systems are just kind of there, but I think just the funness of playing the game more than makes up for it. And there's five GPs with 4 racetracks in each of them, so that's like 20 racetracks to go through. But each racer also has 4 cars with a shit ton of things to unlock between them that all range from use this car a specific amount of times or drift a specific amount of time with this car. And you just have a lot of things you can unlock throughout the game to add more and more replay value.
Such as...
And there is an online mode to this as well, where you can have up to, if you're playing with friends, you have up to 4 players in a lobby together to play. So I don't know how well the online runs. I haven't done that yet. I want to at least get through all the experts GPs done before I dip my toes into that and face all the killer sharks that are in the world of this game, because it's been out for a little while.
Fair enough. The replayability stuff. What sort of things unlock? What sort of things could you unlock that improve replayability?
It's not really like improves replayability. It's just things like different skins for the characters, different skins for the cars, like paint jobs, a whole bunch of different like accessories. Like you do get a cockpit view, and one of the things you can unlock in the cockpit for the cockpit is bobbleheads on your dashboard and little accessories in your on your mirror and on your keys.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's just a bunch of small things like that if you care about like customizing the cars.
And you customize the performance of the cars.
No. So like I said before, each racer gets a selection of 4 cars, and each of those cars specialize in something. So you've got balanced class cars.
So those are, yeah, okay, right.
You got an acceleration class car, a speed-based one, and a drift-based one. So balanced is just, balanced all throughout the 3 stats, and then the other 3 are just, this one's best at acceleration, this one's got the best top speed for that character, and this one's got the best drift handling for that character.
Which car has the best gas mileage?
Probably the balanced one. Seems like it's the one that would be most fuel efficient.
Are we talking like hybrid or E85 or just kind of like city driving?
E85. We don't have that over here. We got E95 though. Wait, do we have E95?
Not that I'm aware of. No, we have. I think Australian standards it has to have at least 10% ethanol. So I don't think we can have 85 unless there's something I'm mistaken.
No, I said, do we have 95?
Oh, 95. Yeah, we got 95 at the wazoo.
Yeah. I thought it was 95.
Premium. You want to fill your car up with it about every 2 or 3 months just to clean out the engine. And there's like 98 or 99 that you can get from like special places in the city that like cost like $40 million a litre.
We got 98 over here. I don't know why it's...
I'm thinking about, there's like special, there's like 1 or 2 service stations in like close to the city, and like people with all the souped up cars take there because it's like the most purest fuel you can get in Australia, and it's
right, okay,
and it's ridiculously expensive for what it is. Like a car watching buddy of mine literally just hangs out there sometimes to watch all the nice cars come through. Very strange, but
that's pretty funny.
Yeah, literally just should be spending that time grinding on the side hustle.
True. Or like playing Monster Hunter, or even just touching grass. Something as simple as touching grass.
Oh, do you want to touch grass? There's ants in there.
You know what? I don't say this often, so be very like just heed these
Treasure
words.
It.
I think you're right. There are ants in the grass.
Very cool.
Patrick, those are very dangerous words to say to Stephen.
I know. So hopefully that's the only time this episode, but we'll see.
Don't worry. It's core memory now.
Core memory. Approval from a father figure. Damn. Achievement unlocked. The only question that I don't think you have answered is that you got this for free, but if you didn't get it for free, what price point would you be happy to pay for it? Or would you be happy to pay for it?
The full price for the game is 30 Australian, and I think that's pretty fair.
$30? Fucking hell.
Actually, I thought it was $30 dues. You guys traded currencies on me again?
It's just dongers is a Steven original.
How much Monopoly money is a dongo worth, Stephen?
3.
I love that he walks into a gas station after filling his car up with E95, and he drops I don't know, some obscene amount of money and says, "Hey, can I get the change in dongers?"
And he gives it back to me in like dildos or something. I don't know. All right, I'm tired. Wrap this one up. Steven's time to talk.
No, actually, I'm going to try and squeeze out another 10 minutes on this.
You know what? And I'm
So
just
where
going to go to
does this
sleep.
fit in within the canonical lore of Trackmania?
Honestly, you will have to go through the lore of Trackmania for me right now so I can place that for you because I haven't played those
I haven't
games.
either. I just assumed it would take at least 10 minutes to get through.
Yeah, it would have if one of us had played the game, but unfortunately that's not the
Want to
case.
talk about Pokemon instead?
I said 10 minutes, not 30.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, no, just real quick, something I want to add in is that like they with those character stories, it gives the races a little bit of personality. They also have voice lines throughout the races, but each of the racetracks also have a little bit of personality thrown into them. Like real quick, there's this one called Area 41, and it's got like this UFO burger place where you start the track, but as you're finishing up the race, a UFO will actually come in and pick up a cow from somewhere along the racetrack. So just little things like that I think are cute additions to the game to just give it a little bit more life when you're not just zoned in and focused on the racetrack itself. But yeah, overall, I've been enjoying this. I don't think it's like super spectacular, but it's been fun enough, and I think it's like an 8.
Well, there we go. Play Hotshot Racing before you play, or before you watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That's my top tip for today. But thank you for that.
Today.
For that, Seth. And so for the remainder of Round the Lunch for this week, a little game called Zelda Tears of the Kingdom came out. I haven't played it.
It's just a really small game. I don't think many people have heard of it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
made
I
by a
mean-
small indie developer. I'm not sure. Apparently, there was a game that came out, like it's a sequel. I don't know. There's no 2 in the title, so I don't really think it really matters. Must be a shit game.
Not to mention that was a really old game now. That was that was a title that was a launch title for the Switch. This is pre-Switch days, and it also came out on Wii U.
It was the bridge between the Wii U's death and a Switch's
Don't forget, you can
life.
get Breath of the Wild on the Wii U if you want, for whatever fucking reason.
Can you get
but
Tears of the
anyway.
Kingdom on the Wii U?
No.
Not that I'm aware of,
They
though.
specifically said no to that
I wonder why
one.
the Wii U
I
was
can't
such a
believe- I
successful
can't believe
console.
Nintendo-
Like people asked if they would backport it, and they just laughed.
It really is true what they say. No one hates Nintendo fans more than Nintendo.
That's very true. Okay,
Anyway,
let's start
Tears
talking
of the
about
Kingdom.
it. So you haven't played this, have you, Pat?
I have not. I finished Breath of the Wilds. I finished parts of the DLC, and I quite enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie. It was fine, but
Fine.
it's well, okay. It
More
was,
than
was,
fucking
was very
fine,
it was
big
very
fella.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very good. It was.
Some
It
say
was.
it's one of the games that's come out ever.
True. A lot of people would say that actually. But Tears of the Kingdom, it looked to be an improvement on the original, but I felt like I experienced most of what the core gameplay loop had to offer. And when I look at where Breath of the Wild stacks up in terms of my games of all time, those games, it's kind of like what I said when I played through Elden Ring, is that it's a great game and I can appreciate all the things it does well, but it's not a game that I go out of my way to play. Like I will, I'm sure, play Tears of the Kingdom at some point, but that will only change because everyone around me is playing it, not because I want to play it myself, if that makes any sense. So that's where I'm at with this.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And how many hours have you put into it, Seth?
It says I've got about 20 hours into that, but I also let the game idle while I went shopping, so it's probably
How can
close
you
to
let the
like,
game? Oh my god! How
It's
do you
probably
not
close.
care? How do you not care about playtime? Holy shit, man! Aren't you worried?
Yeah, I'm with Steve on this one. We've talked about this before.
I was desperate for the Pokemon event because I was on the last day. So
Save and
I
quit.
just let the game run while I was doing Pokemon.
How? You have to close it. Do you have 2 switches or something? What?
I'm playing it on emulator.
Interesting. I really think you know, man. Yeah.
I said I was going to.
Interesting.
There he is, Nintendo. There's the man.
Yeah.
Get
we're
him.
gonna get the Pinkertons, or whatever.
I can't believe you're going to have to play 15% of your editing budget to Nintendo for the rest of your life.
But yeah, I probably put in about 15 hours on the game properly.
You put more than me. Rats. Yeah, I put about like 10 or 11 or so, and a lot of that has just been me fucking around. Because I'm having fun.
I will also be honest, I've also been fucking around a lot. Non-spoiler description of like where I'm at now, but I'm just about to hit. Well, I found my first dungeon, and then I backed out and went to the city it's associated with because I didn't want to miss out on story content.
Have you found a tier of the kingdom yet?
I have.
I have found a couple tiers of the kingdom, yes.
Yeah, so, well, okay, let's, I get the feeling we're jumping into this without setting the scene. Let's set the scene. So, in terms of plot, and this isn't going to be that much of a spoiler because none of us have really gone that much into the story content. This takes place, I think it's a couple of years, it doesn't really say, after Breath of the Wild, and Hyrule's just being restored to its former glory, and then something, Link and Zelda are exploring a big crater or something, and then something happens. And
the underneath Hyrule Castle, because there's like a miasma called the Gloom coming out from underneath
is
there.
Taking away people's energy if they come into contact with it. So as Link and Zelda,
it is also breaking down weapons and destroying them.
Yeah. And as they're exploring this cave, something happens, and it seems like they awake. I'd say probably Ganondorf. I don't know. I'm just guessing at this point.
They wake up a mummy. A mummy with a hand sticking out of its chest.
The mummy takes Zelda and ruins Link's hand, and then the first king of Hyrule, or then Link is like injured, and then he awakens, and it turns out the first king of Hyrule, Rauru, has like given Link like a special hand that can do like a bunch of powers, and he's like, well, off you go, big fella. You got to save Zelda. And quick pat on the bum, and off he goes. And it seems like there's a lot more story framing and setting, which is something that I much more appreciate. Because the first Breath of the Wild was like, oh yeah, cool, yeah, bad things that happen. Oh yeah, there's these 4 beasts, go deal with it. All the best.
Yeah, so Breath of the Wild, it basically goes, Calamity Ganon is in Hyrule Castle. You can go there at any time, and the rest of the game is just building you up towards going to Calamity Ganon, and to make that journey easier. Tears of the Kingdom has specific directional input, like trying to push you towards certain events, so there's like more story in this game for you to interact with. And the story being Zelda is lost, what happened to her,
and how do you fix your arm?
Much more open. Also fix your arm. It's much more open and not like, here's a specific location you have to go to. It's more figuring out the mystery and trying to find out where you have to go, which is a lot more open to go explore the world and figure things out. And we've got story beats all over the place for you to figure this out and have a much better time than Breath of the Wild, I felt.
I'd say, whereas you're right, in my opinion, you're right and you're wrong. Like, Breath of the Wild sort of dumps you into a sandbox, and it's like, cool, the final stage is to cross the sandbox, go to here and defeat it. All these other things exist to sort of support, as you said, while Tears of the Kingdom is more of a, no, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. Like, you have to unwind the mystery, as opposed to, the final, where you have to go in the end. And I probably appreciate that a bit more. Like, it's a lot more directive. But then at the same time, my big feeling overall on this game is that Breath of the Wild was, Lord forgive me, something that I never thought I'd say. Breath of the Wild is very close to a perfect game for me. And the whole thing for Tears of the Kingdom for me was, like, how are you going to improve on perfection? Like, if you move a couple of things, if you add a couple of quality of life things, do you lose the soul of Breath of the Wild, or is it just going to feel like a add-on DLC type of thing? Are you going to get the value of money that essentially exists for this game? And the Too Long Didn't Read is, yeah, they did it. They kept all the things that were cool. They got rid of the things that weren't cool.
They didn't. I'll touch on that in a second. You finish your thoughts. Yeah, but yeah.
There is still it's the core and a bit more of Breath of the Wild carries over to Tears of the Kingdom. Like, you got a bunch of different special abilities, and these special abilities is one of them helps you build things. Another, which I fucking love, is that you can go through surfaces that are above you, sort of, in a way that I can't really describe, but it fucking works.
You just no-clip your way through the roof.
It's fucking a lot of clipping in this game. There's a fuse mechanic where you can combine like a weapon with an object in the world to create another weapon. And there's like a recall ability to wind back in time. And I think there's another 2 abilities that I haven't unlocked yet. And those new abilities, I think, are much better than the original abilities in Breath of the Wild. But talk me through it. Talk me through what you don't like in this game.
It's not what I don't like about the game. It's more that the problems I had with Breath of the Wild went unaddressed in this game. Like, this is, for all intents and purposes, this is the same game, but with new toys to play with.
Yes.
And a better story. And what there's going to be, I'm going to minorly spoil some things, not like story related things, but more like what you do in this game.
Yeah, go for it.
So, the beginning of the game is very much a tutorialized version like the Great Plateau was in Breath of the Wild, and it feels like they've just redone that but made it more linear because the Sky Island that you're on is shaped in like a circle, like a clock. And you just go from one shrine to the next, and the fact that the shrines are back is just evident to me that a lot of your playtime might be down to trying to find shrines and going through the loop of doing shrines as you're going along the map and unlocking things. And generally with Breath of the Wild, I didn't think that the shrines were great. I thought there were too many of them, and they're all too short. I didn't find them a good replacement for just doing side dungeons, I guess.
Interesting.
Like, you go in there, you're done in like 2 minutes, and they're very easy to do, and I didn't find them to be satisfying puzzles.
I think I disagree. I think I disagree with that.
What compounded it worse for Breath of the Wild was that when you got to the Divine Beast, they were also very shit dungeons.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say, I think my approach to the shrines is you go in there, you're in there for a couple minutes, there's like one cool trick to the shrine, you do it, you solve it, you're out. And I really like that. I do probably appreciate more, like, you have to do, it's still the same thing, you have to do 4 before you can, like, every time you do one, you get one of those spirit points, and you need 4 spirit points to upgrade either your health or your stamina. I'd probably do agree with you that there are too many.
And they added more for Tears of the Kingdom. There was 120 in Breath of the Wild. There's more than 150 in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
And yeah, in Breath of the Wild, I did about half of them because by the time I got to around 50 or so, I started feeling worn out by them. And then after I hit the 60 point, I just stopped. I didn't give a shit about them anymore.
I in Breath of the Wild, because I played through Breath of the Wild twice, and the first time I played through, I definitely felt that. But the second time I played through it, I think I like, because you climb up one of those fucking big towers, and those big towers do fucking make a return in this game, but we'll talk about that in a bit. That you mark a couple on your map, you do those ones, and you do like 5, 6, maybe 8 in a row, and then you get sick of them, and then you do something else. Like, you do the main free, you'll do a side quest, you'll do a Divine Beast, and I'm approaching this game the exact same. Like, I'll do a bunch in a row, and just as I sort of start to be like, I'm sick of doing fucking shrines, I'll do something else. Like, I'll do a side quest, I'll do a main mission, I'll do something else.
Yeah, that was another thing with the Breath of the Wild one, is that you do a side quest and your reward for doing the side quest was a shrine.
Yes, I fucking hated those.
That also annoyed me a lot. It's like one of those things where there's so many of them, I wish they kind of cut down on them, and instead of getting 1 out of 4 for an upgrade, you just got a heart container as an upgrade.
I was talking about this with a friend, about the amount of shrines, because he fucking he loves the traditional Zelda, he hates the sort of new Zelda. And his way of putting it was he wishes that the shrines were like condensed, like the same amount, but like instead of doing 4 shrines, you're doing 1 shrine that has like 4 different areas, if that makes sense.
That's also the approach I would have preferred. One shrine equals 4 shrines of what's currently in there. You cut down the amount of shrines there are in the game, and you also make them meatier, because the shrines are basically just free rooms where they make sure you understand how a puzzle works. Like, the first room is like, here's a quick thing to do, and then the second room is, okay, here's a little bit more advanced, and then the third one is like, okay, now here's an actual puzzle just to make sure you understand how this mechanic works.
That's 100%.
And that's not counting when you hit a shrine that's just go in and it's just a reward. But those are more a shrine is here as a quick travel point sort of thing.
I haven't seen any of those recently.
I've hit a couple.
I'm wondering. Again, been a while since I played Breath of the Wild, but the shrines were sort of distributed fairly equally across what was quite a large map to roam around in. If they did do the condensed shrine thing, would that make the map feel empty? Because I assume part of the reason for 150 is that they're placed in kind of sensible places around the map.
It's still 120 over Hyrule and in another 30 or so in the Sky Islands.
I took the words out of my mouth, Pat. That was literally what I was about to say. Like, I do like how the shrines are placed to encourage exploration. Like, there is something, and Elden Ring did exactly the same thing. I think I said it in the discussion about that. It's the show, don't tell. Like, if you climb something and you're on higher ground, whether it's one of those dumb fucking Ubisoft towers, or if you're on the top of a mountain or a hill or something, you can see a shrine in the distance and you mark it on your map. It's not the game telling you that the map's there. It is you being shown, hey, there's a shrine over there. You can go there if you want. It's not as if you open up the mini app and it's like, oh, fuck, I got fucking 50 fucking things on the mini app. It rewards your own personal exploration. And that's what I really appreciate about like this type of game. Like, and I think that's sort of why I'm probably more in favor of having more shrines than fewer, because it encourages exploration and it rewards you for doing so.
I think there's kind of enough going on the map that you don't need that many shrines, especially in Tears of the Kingdom. But let's go with Breath of the Wild first. You've got moblin camps all over the place. You've got stables. You've got villages. You've got people running around the world where they give you side quests. There's still a decent amount going on in that game's map, and there's like super bosses all over the place. You're not shy on things to do, and then Tears of the Kingdom adds even more, where they've got these small cave systems that are basically like mini shrines in themselves.
Oh, mini shrines is very generous for those fucking caves. Like, you walk into this cave.
Some of them are mini shrines. Some of them is like one room.
Maybe this is the ones up, because they've got like a weird discovery thing. Like, you walk into a cave and it's like, oh, discovery, and it's like a weird secret area, and there are these things that start with a B, and I can't pronounce that word, and gives you those medals that you're supposed to give some dickhead. They do love their.
I haven't found that person yet either.
I did.
I've been told where they are. I still need to go to them though. They're on the other side of the map from me though.
But yeah, like, and they've still got the cooking mechanic as well. They've still got dumb fucking Korok seeds. They do Korok seeds different now, and this is probably a good segue into.
There's still normal Korok seeds, but they've also got the new one. But also, I just I want to finish off they've littered the map sort of discussion.
Nah, fuck it.
They've also introduced a new thing called chasms, which adds a whole other layer of the map for you. And they've also started littering treasure chests that actually have decent rewards in them, like gear rewards. And you can find treasure maps to find out where they are, or talk to an NPC, and they'll be like, oh, here's a couple of locations where you can find these certain pieces of equipment that will like increase your attack power or make your climbing stamina drain slower. So yeah, I think you can cut down the amount of shrines that are in these games and still have the world feel full with how much it's going on.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't want it to be too crowded, whereas in like I run into 3 things in the space of a minute, but I want to be able to see that there's something that I can head to, but not have to walk too far.
Yeah, I think Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom do strike that balance well. It's just, I feel like there's too many shrines, and that you hit a lot of them. Like you're hitting a lot of shrines as you're going through the game. Like trying to go to your destination, you'll be like walking towards a town, and you'll hit like 5 shrines on the way there.
Okay, let's talk about the build mechanic, because I get the feeling we can talk about the map for quite some time. It just seems like it's an opinion piece. But this build mechanic is, I think, it's another opinion piece. So essentially, one of the abilities you've got, Ultra Hand, allows you to create builds, for lack of a better word, a bunch of different pieces of the world together. Like if you've got a couple of wood planks, you can put them together. And there's a bunch of wheels. You put a bunch of wheels on that, and you've got a car. Not a car, but you've got a cart. And then there are these new things called Zonai devices, and they're like borderline electronic tech, and you sort of hit them and they turn on. So if you create like a car, for instance, and you've got 2 fans on the back and you hit it, it turns on, the fans go on, and essentially you do have a car. What are your thoughts, Seth? Do you like the build mechanic?
I love the build mechanic.
Fantastic, same.
It's a lot of fun to mess around with, and the things I've seen people build online are even more deranged than I thought that I would have ever dreamed of.
What's the...
Like, people are making full on controllable mechs in this game.
I've seen a couple of things of that, and like World War II Spitfires and like all sorts. What's I'm trying to think of it. I'm not going to say what's the best thing you've seen someone build, because that's subjective as fuck. What has surprised you the most that someone has built? And we got 2 scales. One, overly complex. I assume it's the mech. And the other one, you're surprised that it's either super dumb or surprised that Nintendo doesn't have some sort of policy against it.
We've probably all seen the one with the penis. Like, it's like a mech, but
the penis with the flame emitter at the end of it.
That's a solid contender.
And as it
actually
goes up, the shoots more fire. I don't think it's more of an. And I think like in the next coming weeks, we'll find ones that are like just fucking fantastic. Remember, game's only been out for 6 days. Let them unironically let them cook. I think it's just more about the simplicity of the building. I think it does take.
It's very easy to do, and you can make very complex things out of it. Like it's basically playing with Legos.
And like there is a little bit of like getting the angles right, but not only can you rotate the material you want fused to the first object in a 3D plane, you can also just walk Link around and just get a better angle yourself. Like it's much better than what I thought it would be, and it's easy and it works. And in a weird way,
and you can it mixes well with the other abilities too. Like so something that I didn't think of, and then they tutorialized me on this, is that if you have enough platforms, you can just make you can make a base and then stick a couple of things vertically up and then put a roof above it. And then from that, you can use your clip through the roof ability to get a higher vantage point. And then you can go off that to like jump and glide, or to start climbing a wall from a higher angle than you would have before. And then there's also things like so everything in the game with that rewind ability, everything in the game has to have calculated what their history for the last like 10 to 15 seconds is. So you can do some really weird things like send something off like a really specific angle and send it flying. Then you attach a platform on top of that thing, and then you hit rewind on the rock that you've sent flying, and the platform attached on top of the rock will go along like into its rewind as well. So you just get like a flying platform for a little bit by mixing these abilities. It's really weird and complicated stuff that's going on. And it's surprising that this is running on the Switch with how much physics calculations is going on in this game.
Yeah, just about to say, I'm shocked that so much of that seems to work while running on Switch.
I think what helps with that is that the Blood Moon cycle is just a memory flush reset for the game.
So
like
is
it
that
removes
what it
the
is?
physics calculations and everything.
Yeah.
It's just a full world reset. Like everything in the game just gets reset to 0, so it doesn't have to keep track of the physics processes for too long.
Yeah, it's kind of rough. Like, if you do build a base, like you fucking lose it. Like every 20 or 30 minutes, whenever that blood moon happens.
I mean,
but it needs to happen though.
Maybe whatever you build right in front of you will keep its things, but like the rest of the world around you will get reset.
Yeah, this game, like visually, looks exactly the same as Breath of the Wild. Like it's probably a lot of.
It runs better though.
You reckon? Not
somehow they've there's been a patch, like a day 1 patch, and somehow they've kept this closer to 30 frames per second than Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, there were a couple of Breath of the Wild did get a bit framey, especially if you had like a bunch of like flames and wind on the screen. I've had I've seen a couple of shit posts about the frames dropping like to 20 frames a second, but I've never encountered it, especially when there's like a lot of going on the screen, and there can be a lot going on in the screen.
I think it's mostly just the opening section at this point.
I never encountered it, so I'm just lucky. Works for me. But yeah, I do love that build mechanic. It gives you the freedom in a way. Is like, yeah, cool. Like you've got a puzzle. Here's the materials. We don't give a shit. Just do whatever you can to solve it. Like to the point where it's like you can. In one of the shrines, I don't think I was doing it correctly, but like it's like a batting thing, but I don't think I understood it was a batting thing. So I just sort of built a wall, and the ball came down, and just bounced into where it wanted to go, and it's just stuff like that. Like it's just like, yeah, cool. Here's the like you've got a problem. Here's the tools. Do what you got to do to solve it, and I really enjoy it.
And sometimes it gets overwhelming. Like you've got all these things around you, and you're just like, what the fuck do I build with all of these materials?
The Little Big Planet analysis paralysis paradox.
Well, it does get a bit like that sometimes. Like it.
Yeah, because I did that batting shrine as well, and there's just so many things around that area, that ball. Like there's all these panels, there's all these little spikes that go into the ground, and I was just like, there's so many things. What does it want from me? And I just probably spent about 5 minutes before I realized, oh, the center thing spins when you hit the the switch.
Yeah. Took me a while.
Like I didn't even realize that switch was an interactable thing until 5 minutes later.
That fucking shrine was a bit harder than what it should have been. But yeah, the building just works. Like at the end of the day, like we can talk about how creative it is, we can talk about how intuitive it is, we can talk about how it works in the world, but it fucking works, and that's probably the most surprising thing. But actually, it works and it's fun. Like, there's a bit of like if you fuck around for too long and you overcomplicate it, it doesn't wig out. But like there's obviously some weird physics stuff going on. Like the weights of things aren't equally distributed, so your cart won't move.
Okay, I need to bounce off that for a second. The cart. No. So we've been going on about like combining things together with the Ultra Hand, but fusing things together also has these really weird effects that is really fun to play around with. So something I've heard about today is that if you fuse a minecart onto the shield and then shield surf, it just turns into a skateboard. Like it's using the front of the minecart as wheels for you to just propel forward. There's also things like attaching bombs to your shields to then do bomb jumps because the shield will protect you from the explosion when you land on it. Also attaching bombs to the end of sticks and just using them as throwable dynamite. And one that they showed me in a shrine today that I really like is that there's a Zonai device that's a rocket. If you fuse it to the shield and then put the shield in front of you, it just propels you upwards like that Breath of the... Yeah, remember that Breath of the Wild power up where it just launched you like 20 feet into the air?
Yeah.
It's basically that.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Two thoughts from listening to this. One, I assume that we all remember the shit that Point Crow got into for having his Breath of the Wild multiplayer mod, and it sounds like if a lot of the systems are the same, the developers that made that are probably already hard at work trying to figure out how to apply it to Tears of the Kingdom, which would mean multiplayer building, which I think conceptually is just very interesting. And then point two, what was point two? Oh, no, that's right, yeah. Systems that we haven't really talked about, and you sort of, I'm bouncing off of the shield thing in particular. Weapon damage is one of the things that they haven't changed. Am I right?
No, they have not.
They haven't, and they've kind of made it worse because base weapon damage is lower thanks to the gloom. So you're constantly needing to fuse things together to keep their durability up. So when you say fuse things together, fuse weapons together, or fuse things to weapons? You can fuse weapons together, but you can also fuse things to weapons. So you can have things like a sword with a sword at the end of it. Or is it also a gun?
No. Like it's a sword with a sword. Like it's just a long sword.
You can make a gun.
It's just a long sword.
Yeah, I don't know how else to say it. Yeah,
for describing the Iron Age.
Yeah, but
so a Zonai device I've just found today is a laser emitter. So you can just attach that to the end of a stick and then just start swinging it, and it just shoots lasers like 20 feet in front of you.
One of the ones that I found was like a shield with the flame Zonai thing on it. So you put your shield up and it just like shoots flames out. It's fucking sick. But then all your enemies catch fire and that
has a lot of cool things that can fuse together in this game that make really great results. Like even just they removed elemental arrows because you fuse things onto the arrow when you're aiming it and it turns them into elemental arrows, or you get other things like attaching a Keese eyeball to the front of the arrow and it turns it into a homing arrow, or attaching a bomb to it and it turns into an explosive.
It works. Like it can get a bit tedious going through all the menus, but yeah,
Steve, 2023.
It does. Todd Howard moment.
That's the amazing thing about this game. Like, it's on Switch and it just works.
Wait. Theory. Breath of the Wild was the thing that spelt the death of the Wii U and the birth of the Switch. Is there a Switch version of Tears of the Kingdom?
Not yet, but maybe in the future.
Switch doesn't exist.
They'll make you rebuy it though. They won't make an upgrade path. You just have to buy the full game again on the next console. That's an
interesting point. So, you mentioned that it's the same 120 shrines from Hyrule. Are they the same shrines, or are they redone?
Redone.
They're redone. They're new shrines.
Redone with the new powers.
Yeah.
And
sweet. Yeah. Second question, or second follow-up rather. Do you get anything having played Breath of the Wild compared to someone just playing Tears of the Kingdom?
Like moving saves, or like just as an experience?
I'm thinking mostly moving saves, but I guess if there's an experience difference
moving saves, you get to keep all of your ranch horses.
Yeah, so I went to the stable and I'm like, oh yeah, cool, can I register this horse? And like, you've already got one. And I'm like, no, I don't. And it was old Blake from my playthrough of Breath of the Wild. I'm like, hey buddy, how you doing?
Even my colossal horse and my dead horse?
No.
Yes, actually.
Okay,
sweet.
Speaking of dead horses, I actually found a zombie horse in the game.
Oh, I thought you were about to say something that we brought up again. Oh, that was so close to a fantastic segue. No, you just found a zombie horse. You found a literal dead horse.
Yeah, in the underground map, I just found a skeleton horse, and you can ride them. Like, you can tame them and ride them. My
dead/zombie horse in Breath of the Wild, so not surprised.
Also, we've gone way off track, but I want to bounce back onto how this is just Breath of the Wild again in structure. So, like I said before, you've got the tutorial area that's just basically the Great Plateau done again. Like, they go, here's 3 shrines, you get your power-ups through them, and then you go to a cutscene sort of thing, and then they go, okay, here's a 4th shrine, just to make sure you get the game, and then you move on to the open world. The only difference is that the Great Plateau gives you the paraglider, while this game takes 10 minutes after you get to the open world to get the paraglider. So
it takes a lot longer than if you fuck around like I did.
Yeah, like if you mainline it like they want you to, then it takes like 10 minutes. But
straight to the veins.
What I did was I explored for a little bit for like an hour, hit a shrine where it's like, oh no, you need the paraglider for this, and it's pretty close to where you get it. So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I just need to go do the story quest, like the story quest I have now, and then I'll get the paraglider, and then I can come back to this. But yeah, so they've got the shrines all over the place. Like, it's basically the same structure of do 4 shrines, upgrade your health or upgrade your stamina. But it's also to the point where it's like, here's the 4 major cities. There's something going on. Go check them out. And then along the path, I met Impa, and she's like, oh hey, here's this thing where we've got a bunch of locations all over the map. Like in Breath of the Wild, you had these pictures that Zelda saved on the on basically the Wii U gamepad, and if you go to those locations, which in Breath of the Wild are a little hard to find because it's just based on the picture that you've got. But if you go there, you get a cutscene of what happens to Zelda and Link in the past. And this game, they go, hey, here's all these like massive glyphs along the side of hills. If you go and visit them, then you get a cutscene explaining more of the story. And I got a pretty late game story spoiler, no. So
I'll teach you to explore.
It's one of those things where all of them just give context, and more so than anything. So I didn't hit the like literal last one, but I saw a pretty big major events, probably out of order. But even then, it's like all of these cutscenes are supposed to be building up to the story going on in Tears of the Kingdom itself.
I think I know what that spoiler is. That spoiler was someone using a sunstone on Gloom, right?
Funny one. Very cool.
You're close, but not exact. And I don't want to elaborate because I don't want to spoil anyone on this. But yeah, it's
Leafstone,
like
then. It's a Leafstone, isn't it? It's a Vileplume.
all of the major quest lines in this are structured the exact same way that Breath of the Wild was, and that kind of bothers me in the sense that how did this game take so long to make, and you've just structured it the exact same way as the last game? But I guess a lot of it was due to making sure the physics engine of this game works properly, and on top of lockdown and COVID delaying things. But it's also been like the entire console generation when this feels like it should have come out like maximum 3 years after Breath of the Wild did.
It is
you're
funny
right.
how long that dev is for what is sort of like a 1.5 or a 2.
It's probably it's
this is definitely a 2. This definitely feels like a 2.
Sorry, but like what I mean is like the same kind of map, same kind of structures of things, same kind of mechanics. I'm not saying overhaul everything, but I'm saying for the length of time, let's say Sly 3 to Sly 4, those are vastly different games in the same series.
Yeah, and the amount of time this took longer than the time between Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild. And that was building an entire new game. This is built on the base of Breath of the Wild. It should not have taken this long to make. And I'm not saying that negatively. I'm more saying that as a surprise
what the fuck
factor.
were you guys doing?
Yeah.
The answer was making the Mario movie. Do you wake up naked in this one?
Yes, actually.
Yeah. After you get injured, yeah.
And
so Link.
The first piece of clothing they give you is a skirt. So you're just running around in a skirt for like half an hour before they give you a shirt.
See,
they were very brave.
What's interesting about that is that I, in my infinite wisdom of playing Breath of the Wild, did not find the clothes in the shrine where you wake up in. So I was just in underwear all the way till the first town, where one of the townspeople said, "Why are you just in your underwear?" And I went, "I didn't realize I had a choice," and then walked into a shop and then saw that clothes cost money and went, "Well, that's a bit of a this is definitely not an ideal situation to be in," and then realized later that I just missed like shirt and pants where I woke up. Anyway, it's funny that we're now 2 for 2 on Link going through the hangover experience.
Yeah. So we're just going to stay quiet after that
one?
one?
I just wanted to let everybody...
I thought we were reminiscing about how good the Hangover movies are.
The third one was the best, am I right, fella?
Do you guys think that, given that this has been, I think it's the winner of the most hyped game for the next year, for the last couple of years running? I think Elden Ring might have kicked it out one of the years, I'm not sure.
Like the year before Elden Ring came out, I think it got it.
Do you think it's lived up to its hype?
I'm going to saying this after playing for like 15 hours, I'm going to give it like a little bit more time before I say that, because I really want to hit the first dungeon before I go and like give any sort of definitive answers about how I feel about this game.
Play a game for 15 hours and don't have an opinion.
Yeah,
I have an opinion, but I don't want to fully like cements that idea, that opinion, until I hit that last thing that's like, this is the one thing that I really disliked about Breath of the Wild. I hear they've improved it a ton, so I need to see how the dungeons have changed compared to the Divine Beasts, and then I'll be like solid on what I think of Tears of the Kingdom.
It's going to be really funny if you said that the thing that you hated most about Breath of the Wild was that Zelda was in it.
Well, yeah, like I'm having a lot of fun with this game. I get the feeling if I like had played Breath of the Wild in the lead up to Tears of the Kingdom, I might be very close. Burnout's probably not the right word, but it's like it is more of the same. And I think because I haven't played Breath of the Wild in like 2 or 3 years, they do recycle a bit of the music. They do have introduced some new music, and they play the new music a bit more frequently.
I feel like they play music way more frequently in this game than they did in Breath of the Wild.
I can't wait to not hear any of it when I play it.
Yeah, you're missing out. But I am really enjoying this game. That the powers are different enough to warrant to call it more of a sequel rather than like a stapled on DLC. Like it is a shame that the landscape and the horizon roughly looks the same. But then at the same time, it's the way I describe it to my girlfriend, who is not a gamer, is that Breath of the Wild, they caught lightning in a bottle. It's like, what are you going to do? Catch 2 lightnings in a bottle to improve on that? They've kept what works.
Why are you bringing Final Fantasy into this?
Oh, Oh,
Take lightning out of the jar right now, Steve. Right now.
lightning returns. Am I right, fellas? I don't know. But they did such a good job with Breath of the Wild. It was very hard to understand what Tears of the Kingdom would look like, and I think it does. They kept all the they kept all the old stuff from Breath of the Wild that works. Didn't really change it that much, and the parts of Breath of the Wild that didn't work, like the weapon durability, they sort of fixed up with being able to fuse it with things in the environment. And the new powers they've introduced do make the game a lot more fresh. I do fucking hate the stable mechanic. I hate just let me fucking whistle to call a horse. I do not want to catch a horse. I do not care for the other horses. Let me fucking whistle. I do not care that my fucking horse cannot cross a fucking river. Get him on me. But yeah, I'm loving it so far. Probably 9 out of 10. Game of the year. There you go, I call it.
For me, it's Breath of the Wild. I thought was just fine, like a very good 8 out of 10. They can build on this and make something even more phenomenal if they fix some things about it. And this is just more of the same. They've somehow added and changed so much, but the core base of the problems I had with Breath of the Wild are still here. So it's still hitting around that 8 out of 10 mark for me.
What if you...
They're very good games, but I think there's just things you could do to make it better, like to streamline it a little bit. And while I appreciate the openness... I appreciate the openness of these games, but I think the perfect Zelda game for me would be this open world, but more structured like an Ocarina of Time is. Maybe keep the openness of you can go to these locations whenever you want, but I want more sophisticated side dungeons. I want the dungeons that are in the game to be significant. I think the shrines are overdone, and I'd rather like all of the heart containers and stuff to either be on the overworld or inside dungeons and in dungeons themselves. Like, whenever I find a chest in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I'm not excited because it's just something insignificant. Or a weapon with less durability and less damage than something I already have. And that's why I appreciate that Tears of the Kingdom added things like, here's these treasure maps with actual valuable treasure in these chests, but just like breaking into a moblin cave and beating them all up to unlock their locked chest, and then it's like, here's 20 rupees. It's not satisfying to me. And yeah, so it's just all of those little complaints I have that like just bring it down a little. They're all still in Tears of the Kingdom, and that's like it's kind of frustrating, really. But I'm still enjoying the game overall. Like, not to say like it's bad or I hate it or anything. It's just this is a game I'm enjoying, but it's not hitting me the same way it hits a lot of other people.
Let's just circle back to Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah.
To be fair, this sounds better than Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Realizing that we've been speaking on this for about 45 minutes.
I also feel like this is probably going to be the only time we have like a long form discussion on this game.
Yeah.
Unless we want to get into spoilers after we finish it.
In terms of wrapping it up, you mentioned that you are holding out for dungeons because of how they change from Divine Beasts, but is there anything else that you're really looking forward to that you might end up coming back to talk about, or you might not, but just what you're really looking forward to that you know is coming up?
Just experiencing the story. Breath of the Wild, a lot of its story was like, we already know Calamity Ganon is the problem, and a lot of it is just, let's figure out what happened in the past and why Link has amnesia from 100 years ago, and that's not as exciting. And it's not as exciting as like these events are actually happening in Tears of the Kingdom as we speak. There's two parallel stories going on at the same time, and it's a lot more involved plot-wise than Breath of the Wild was. So that's something that's keeping me going with more interest.
I can't believe that you didn't say that you're really looking forward to comforting the kingdom and figuring out why it's crying so many tears. Sick fuck.
The tears are just all over the place. Like the tears are all dried up. They're just all over the kingdom.
You know, this game is missing.
It's a real mess.
This game is missing achievements. When it comes to Game Pass, I'll have it.
Here we go.
There we go. When it comes to Game Pass, we'll have achievements.
What about you, Steve? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, experiencing the story, seeing what those last couple of powers are.
Can't believe neither of you said building your own Korok space program. It's fucking disappointing, honestly. You're playing the game wrong.
I've already done
I
that.
do not want to interact with those fuckers. You know what? You're right, Pat. 1 out of 10. They brought back Koroks. They brought back more
Base.
Koroks. Ugh, I simply...
Yeah, but now you can actually punish them for their crimes.
I just don't want to interact with
Koroks
them.
are just...
Their crime being if you collected all 900 of them in Breath of the Wild, they gave you a golden shit on a stick as your reward.
Koroks are just moon people that you haven't sent there yet.
That was funny. But yeah, no, I can't wait to see the story. I'm just loving being part of the world. Excuse the Little Mermaid pun.
I just like, yeah, what are you really looking forward to? Oh, just continuing to live, laugh, and love my way through Hyrule.
But that's unironically, this is like I'm having a great time just fucking around. Like, very rarely do I like fucking around in games. Simply telling you what to do where I'll do nothing.
Because there's too much finding out.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, but like it drip feeds it to you. It's like, hey, there's something over there. Maybe go have a look. And I'm like, oh fuck, all right, I'll walk over. And it's like, oh hey, on the way, there's a couple of other things. I'm like, oh fucking, now I've gotten sidetracked. But yeah, and the way it drip feeds it.
I feel like this game is a lot more directional, like pointing you to things, because just talking to random NPCs, they'll also go, hey, there's this thing over in this direction. Maybe you should check it out sometime. And there's like 5 different locations I could all check out because NPCs have told me, yeah, there's this cool thing over here.
And
go check it out.
On your map now as well.
And it still kept that element of it's open and you can explore it and however you want. But just kind of giving direction is appreciated.
Shit, I completely forgot to bring this up, but obviously Breath of the Wild, you could own a house. Given that we've now gone through the pandemic and inflation, what's home ownership like now? Better or worse?
No clue. Probably non-existent.
I haven't been to that village yet. I know it still exists in the game, but I don't know if Link's house is still in a good state. Possibly. I haven't been there yet.
Oh my god, you're paying rent and you don't even live there?
Maybe the house is down for and being sold because they foreclosed
it. Fucking landlord at the same time. All right. Well, thank you both for that chat. Unless there's any final thoughts from either of you, I think we can wrap things up there.
I'm Steven.
Hi, good.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, there we go. I can't believe that was Steven's final thought too. Sharing the brain cell as always. Well, this means we come to the end of Round the Lunch for this week. Thank you to you both for serenading me with how much I should be playing Tears of the Kingdom right now. Maybe I'll go out and buy it. Who knows?
Ooh.
It means we get to move on to part 2 for this week, which is, of course, the news.
Dun, 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 dun.
Starting off, we have some news hot off the press. It's morbing time, Seth. Morting time.
I'm morbing all over the
it's
place.
Combat time. Work with fucking hell.
I don't know. I think morning time is a more accurate depiction.
I'm booning.
That's so much worse. Imagine uploading.
It sounded bad in my head and I knew I had to say it.
Imagine uploading a 17-second. It is a video, but trailer video thing, to say that it's almost morting time.
Well, okay, let's talk about this.
What is this actually about, Seth?
I'm the Mortal Kombat fan.
We have a teaser trailer here of a clock that I think it starts on like the 10, like the second hand starts on. Oh wait, no, it starts on the 9.
God, we really gotta get a 17-second description on this video.
Yes, it ticks up to 11 and then it skips to 12 and goes right back to 1, which dumb people online are going, wow, this is a really
deep metaphor.
Maybe, yeah, it's a deep metaphor. Maybe they're rebooting the timeline as if Mortal Kombat 11 didn't end the story with rebooting the timeline. I think I might have ranted about this the last time we talked about the Mortal Kombat teasers.
You did.
But yeah, no, but on top of that, we've also got like rumors going around now that instead of being called Mortal Kombat 12, it's going to be called Mortal Kombat 1 because we have not learnt from the Xbox One and Battlefield 1 and how that's a terrible naming convention.
Xbox Series X, didn't it?
No.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, I hate Xbox.
We also got Ed Boon today tweeting out, this week should be fun. So I guess Mortal Kombat 1 or Mortal Kombat 12, whatever we're going to call it. I'm pretty sure people are just going to call it Mortal Kombat 12.
It's combat time.
Yeah, it will be more. It will be morting time this
Morbius
week.
is in the game. Actually, no, he'd be too OP. I wouldn't let him in.
My favorite reply on the on Ed Boon's tweet is, "Your words are shaped in an L."
Oh my
the
god, they
cycle
are.
hurts, but for whatever reason, I now believe it's time.
Mortal Kombat L.
Next up,
Mortal Kombat L.
we have Seth, is this a joke? It's an article on hard drive, but I don't know. I'm so scared to say whether it's a joke or whether it's fact.
So it's not facts because they missed about 90 games, but they ranked 296 Nintendo 64 games from worst to best. They also made a video version so that it's more digestible, and that goes for about an hour and 16
what game
minutes. The spoilers, I guess. The game that got first place was GoldenEye.
What came 69th?
Oh god, let's see if I Oh yeah, I did it on the first click. It's 69th was NFL
That
Blitz.
makes sense.
I just jumped to a random page number hoping it would land on 69 and it did.
You can sniff out the 69.
I can. It's very nice smelling.
We're just gonna leave that that right there. Yeah, I have nothing to contribute to this conversation. I have not owned a Nintendo 64, but I think it's interesting that here we are, the year of our Lord 2023, and finally we have a definitive tier list.
What's surprising to me is that Batman Beyond ranked lower than Superman 64. The fact that 2 games ranked lower than Superman 64 is incredible.
I simply have not played those games.
No, this was just too funny not to bring up.
Next up in the list, really just racing through these this week, but don't worry, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about a few of these down the list.
We also spend a long time on Tears of the Kingdom, so we're trying to speed through
column
this.
A, little column B, you know how it is. So next up in the list, we have WrestleQuest looking at Redfall's release date and going, fuck no, so that's been delayed till the summer.
I just thought this was great because I think, I don't remember if we've said it on podcast, but off podcast, both you and Josh have gone, hey, remember that wrestling RPG? Whatever happened to that? This happened to that.
Delayed. Which, as we repeatedly say, a delay that the developer brings up first, good. A delay that the developer says, hey, we were going to release next week and decided, it could use a little more polish. We're going to release in 6 months. Bad. So I think this is one of the good delays.
This is also one of those not Suicide Squad delays.
But yeah, so now the tentative, I don't know if they actually gave a date. They just said summer.
Yeah, I think it's just a time period delay.
Presumably North America summer, so we're looking at probably July-ish.
Yeah, and speaking of time frames, Hollow Knight Silksong just went, yeah, so we're not releasing in the first half of 2023.
Believe that, Hollow Knight Silksong looked at Redfall and went, fuck no.
Remember when Microsoft promised us that this was coming out 12 months from when they showed it off in June?
Me thinking back to that event being in June last year. Yeah.
You reckon
it's almost June this year?
Wait, what? No, that's the whole point of this article.
They just said that. Yeah, they just said they're not.
They don't say it.
I think he's too busy thinking on the microphone.
Do you listen better than Steve? Let us know.
I didn't.
But yeah, so we have the nebulous time frame of it's not releasing in the first half of 2023.
If you're a fan of set theory, not Seth theory, very different thing. That's a field of psychology. Set theory.
Said theory.
Think of it like a Venn diagram. So on one half, you've got the first half of 2023, and on the other part of the Venn diagram, you've got any other time in the future. And currently, Hollow Knight is no longer on the left half of that Venn diagram. They're somewhere on the right. So any time in the future is now the tentative release date.
Yeah, and we're just waiting to see when it intersects. It's a Venn diagram. It has to intersect.
Oh my God, Steve, you listening?
No, I thought he said a an adult joke.
My favorite line from this
6
article
lines
though
long.
is expects more details from us once we get closer to release.
Yes, the floor is made of floor. Very cool. Next up, not in delay news, at least not yet, but the ESRB has rated the SPCA-approved game Stray.
Yay!
I hope you enjoy our leftovers.
Thanks for beta test and
Xbox.
PlayStation. Finally, a game that won't run like
I knew
shit.
you were going to say that, and that's why I had to
beat
get
into
in
it.
before
I'm
you.
not sure what I feel about this game. I know Josh spoke about it, and I still think that the only reason he liked the game because it has a cat. Not to mention the fact that
Aren't
I'm not
you
an
a
animal
cat person, Stephen?
He's
to
a
stress
bunny
that.
person. He loves his
Nope,
bunnies.
Nope, they are our housemates at the top tier. They don't pay rent. They're
Actually,
scum.
I think you're also a big fan of the cat because of its liberal urinary activities.
Yeah, my favorite thing was getting home from the gym today and having to get rid of the cat poo in the bathtub. That was fun. Yeah.
You need to get
He
his
does.
own little private
At the
bathroom.
old place, he had his own private bathroom. He doesn't have it here, so he shits in ours.
No, you need one of those little boxes that has a little cage around it so that it's
It
like
doesn't
a
fit.
little
Remember, he's
private room
Vancouver,
for
he's
it.
fucking huge. What my partner did is she built it's like one of those IKEA furniture things, like a cupboard. Pretty much. And it had like, you close the door, you had his litter box in there, and it had like a little hole for him to go into. But because his poos are that stinky, he'd stink himself out and he'd take one shit and then never shit in it again. I hate animals.
You just find him collapse next to it.
No, he just bangs on the
There's scratch marks all on the inside because he couldn't find his way back out.
no, he just bangs on the
So you have to build him. You have to build him a little gas mask.
get like some scented candles and like a magazine for him as well. But no, now what he does is like around 4:30.
Some heated floors and a velvet cushion. Yeah, now we're
So
talking.
about 4:35 a.m. he bangs on the door to the bathroom to be let in. And because I like sleep, I'm not going to sit there and have him bang the door. Look, it's not that I hate animals, it's just I don't like caring for them. I don't like the responsibility.
That's what I say about children.
Yeah,
And yet you have so many pets.
interesting, not my pet.
Interesting.
It's for the tax
don't
breaks.
you have like 50 animals? You've got a ferret, Saif.
Hey.
And I clean him out regularly.
Okay, let's not use those words.
Clean out his cage.
I can't believe that you have a ferret, and is he still climbing the escalator, Seth?
Not since Oraz released. I let him off the escalator to
wise.
celebrate.
Good. Actually, but you put him back on the escalator when he realized that Battle Frontier wasn't in there, right?
No, because I don't want it walking on the escalator forever.
Got him.
We have to
Is
let
it
go
Battle
of some
Frontier?
dreams.
Not in the room with us now. Yeah.
We got construction plans for it
I
in the
forgot
room
it
with
has
us.
that in Moz Deep City. That's fucked. Oh yeah,
Yeah, they just twisted
yeah,
that
we
knife.
know we're not going to include it, but here's a hint. I'd rather they not put that in, to be honest.
You know what? We're not spending half an hour on Battle Frontier again. Let's move on.
I'm going to say, speaking of, actually, yeah, so all up, interest in Stray, resident Xbox man, Steve?
It'll come to Game Pass, so I'll play it then.
I
here
can
we go.
answer for him. He will play it
like,
when
I'm not
it's
gonna
on
spend any
Game
money on this
Pass.
game. And yeah, when I can't remember if I said this story or I said it to someone else, but I played the trailer for this game on like the big TV, and like the cat that is in this house went a bit, hey, there's another cat in this house, and it was just wigging out at the TV, so I don't think I will.
So many people have played Stray and posted pictures of and videos of their cats wigging out because there's a cat on screen.
No, but apparently
They're a
like
cat.
the
they gotta
apparently,
wig
no,
out.
the meow sound that the cat makes as like was recorded from like an actual cat, and that's why the cats like react to it. I don't know how true that is. But
I'm pretty sure that's 100% true.
Did your cat just freak out? Let us know. Next up on
Your
the
Steven
list,
just freak out, let us know.
yeah. Is there?
Cat's banging on the toilet door again.
He's got the gas mask ready, but it's for you, Steve.
Bastard.
Next up on the list we have Haiku and the Island of Darkness. This feels like a game right up your alley, Seth. A retro-inspired
It
Metroidvania,
is.
even. Walk us through it.
They describe
And
They
your own
describe
words.
it as a Metroid.
Anytime you want to tell us about
Wait, am I not coming through on Discord?
it. No, you are.
Oh, okay. You're just fucking with me. Okay. I was very worried for a second
Things
that
are
things were
Anything
breaking.
breaking right now, Seth, is the news.
Oh,
They describe it as a Metroidvania game, but there's also a lot of Mega Man inspired elements in this that I'm really enjoying, like just the look of the game and some of the platforming elements. So it reminds me of like Mega Man Zero in a way and Mega Man X. And I love Mega Man X, so this is like right up my alley. It's got like NES inspired graphics. It's got some really good looking combat and platforming elements. Like it does wall jumps properly, which was a problem I had in Celeste,
same
if you
problem.
recall.
Preach.
Simply just bounced off the wall.
Yeah, so this is looking really interesting just based off this gameplay teaser trailer that they've shown off. It's really
No. Please
Go
finish
on.
your thought first.
I was just going to say, like, it's really fast paced. It's got like a lot of movement along with the attacks that look really satisfying. Like it's also got that thing I love from Mega Man X where you jump and then when you press the attack button with a sword, you just spin around in a circle with the sword covering your entire hurt box. And they've also got the right armor from Mega Man X in here. So yeah, it's just got a lot of Mega Man inspired
What I was
things
going
that I
to
really
say
like.
was I'm noticing that this is retro inspired, yet I don't see a timer anywhere on screen. Curious.
It retro inspired, but not
Okay,
arcade
fair point.
inspired.
Call me out. Well played. Also reminds me, I don't know why I'm thinking of it after this one, but just because it's not in the list. Geno Kids was backed as the Kickstarter, fully funded, met, I think, maybe even every stretch goal, definitely met most of them. I was one of the people that funded it. It got funded to the point where, because it was 20 euros as the base, you get the game. But because the stretch goal, one of the stretch goals was it's also coming to Nintendo Switch, they put out a thing that said if you give us an extra 5, then you get the Nintendo Switch key as well. So,
Oh, nice. I just missed out because I had something very expensive come out of
Was it
for
the
one of
Final
my
Fantasy
pre-orders.
it was the Final Fantasy thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a Final Fantasy thing. Don't worry about it.
Release.
So yeah, because of that, I missed out on backing Geno Kids, but it looks like it reached all of its stretch goals.
Yeah, I'm happy for it. Looking forward to seeing how it goes. Shoot, if I'd planned the segue better,
You're losing them, Pat. You're losing them.
I know. There was a perfect segue a couple sentences ago, but it would be terrible to hack it back to that now.
Was it hazardous?
But I mean,
segue.
it could have been. This is really a heist of it. No, fuck, no, it's gone. It's gone. Anyway, Saints Row's got some DLC. Did anyone know about this?
I did. They also did like a massive update that overhauled a bunch of difficulty in the game, and I think bugs cleanup. So they've been working on the game in the background to try and
good
make
on
it
them,
better.
But hasn't the ship kind of sailed for Saints Row?
Possibly, but I think this DLC might have been part of like a special edition season pass. So they were at least committed to having to put this
wow,
out.
they didn't just do the Tiny Tina's Wonderlands thing and just stick like one little world and 5 rooms of a dungeon crawler and call it a day.
Some games respect their players.
Seth, I want that ferret back on the escalator today.
You will get nothing. You will get another round of Tiny
Too late.
Tina's
I'm already
bad
totally
DLC.
desensitized to that. You need to find a new threat.
If you were desensitized to it, you wouldn't have gotten hit so hard
I'm
when
not
I said
crying,
that
you're
just
crying.
now.
Anyway, I think you're the only one of us that actually has or played Saints Row. Is that right? Am I remembering that?
Yeah, I'm like 3/4 of
Oh,
the
you
way
never
through
even
the
finished
game.
Jesus, man.
No,
Always finish what you start.
me and Trin haven't had a chance to be able to. Yeah, me and Trin were playing co-op, and we haven't had a chance to play through the rest of it yet. I think we've got like 3 or 4 hours left if we just mainline the game. But yeah, it's fun enough. Like the bugs were really annoying. But on just like a general gameplay level, I thought it was. I think it's like the best controlling and like best shooting in a Saints Row game. So I'm keen to try out this DLC.
Well, I'm glad that's someone. they worked on this DLC for someone, and that
Will you
someone
play co-op with Trin, or will you just play by yourself?
Oh no, I'll still play
Man,
co-op.
that
I
really
would not
ticks
play this
everything
game by
I need
myself.
to.
Yeah, like aside from the gunplay, the open world elements are kind of like not all there. It's not a big sandbox like Tears of the
there we
Kingdom
go.
is.
Why don't we just compare everything to Tears of the Kingdom? The genre killer.
I mean, Nintendo fans are already doing that.
Why
Why
you saying
can't
you're
we?
not a Nintendo fan?
I'm an everything
out.
fan.
Actually, that makes sense. You said you were a cop. Damn it.
Got him.
Oh well.
Wee woo, wee woo.
Speaking of things that aren't going to be gone at alone, Saif, what would you think Private Division is known for?
I didn't know their name until today, but then I looked at their history and realized, oh, they've published a lot of games that I kind of like Ollie Ollie World and Rollerdrome. They've also done the Outer Worlds, not the Outer Wilds, the Outer Worlds, the one by Obsidian. So they've been around for a while and published a bunch of good games.
Steve, if I were to tell you that they were teaming up with someone, as you've heard, Ollie Ollie World and Outer Wilds, and damn it, and Outer Worlds. I know that we literally talked about this when we talked about Outer Worlds and Outer Wilds, however many episodes ago that was now, and I'm still fucking it up. Anyway.
It's because I just did it.
Anyway, who would you think a group like Private Division would team up with?
Who?
I don't know, probably some indie dev like Team
Matt,
Cherry.
You want to talk for me, Seth? That's fine. No, please, go.
I thought Patrick was asking me.
No,
unless I...
No, I was asking Steve.
We already got your opinion.
We're all about co-host involvement here.
Yeah, fine. Well, maybe
part of it's to make sure he's still listening.
Steven, if you want my answer, you can take it.
I'm building something at the moment. I'm building a nice a boat for me to sail the 7 seas. But no, I get the feeling they'd probably
you were just
collaborate
on one.
with someone like Rare or something. Make a weird Banjo-Kazooie hybrid platformer.
Okay, so you're really close.
I'd find that really hard to do since Rare is owned by Microsoft.
Would you now, Seth? Yeah. Okay, cool, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Cool.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I would.
I love
that.
No,
please, go on. No, please.
Seth started with talking over Steve and then offered Steve to take his answer, and then Steve answers without his answer, and then Seth dunks on him.
I dunked on him because he said a bad answer. If he said a good answer, I would have been all fine with it, but he picked someone owned by Microsoft.
Well, I mean,
Microsoft pays their editors.
All right,
They don't check in with their editors, though, and that's a problem. That's how we end up with Redfall.
Holy shit. I'm kind of scared to continue this article. I think Seth's become a little bit unhinged. You just want to take the rest of this one, Seth?
Sure. So they're teaming up with Game Freak on a game that Game Freak is calling Project Bloom. And I just find this really interesting. Like, I know Game Freak branches out and does other games every now and then that aren't Pokemon. It's just whenever they do announce something, it's always really surprising. And seeing them teaming up with a publisher that's done a bunch of neat games, this could turn out really well. Not like that Tembo, the badass elephant game that they made a few years back. Maybe they'll get to work with real hardware and not the Switch.
I'm telling you,
it seems like the only people that can work with the Switch are the Legend of Zelda team.
I'm telling you now.
Yeah,
I am. Fight me.
No.
Yeah, not really a huge amount more to say on that. There's a tentative release date, I think, of like 2025-ish, so we're really early days. But yeah, it is quite interesting.
Yeah, fiscal year 2026. So it's like April 2025 till March, end of March 2026.
Speaking of things that won't make money for a long time, Ubisoft is currently in a massive financial hole, trying to figure out why all of their cookie cutter games aren't keeping people entertained as much as they once were.
Do they have anything announced at the moment besides Skull and Bones?
Whatever, the 3 games.
Oh yeah, and like the 5 Assassin's Creed projects.
I think they might be working on another Far Cry as well. Not too sure about that. They haven't released one in fucking 8 months. They might be in withdrawal.
Yeah, they've probably got 3 in the backlog. Anyway, this time, the Ed and Eddie of the gaming world have a new scheme to steal your quarter for a jawbreaker.
Ed and Eddie of the gaming world, man.
And they are trying to sell you NFTs again. I think the part that hurts me the most is knowing that someone went and set up a Twitter account called Assassin's Creed Smart Collectibles with handle @AC Smart Collect.
So that maybe that's the actual products Twitter, because they are calling these smart collectibles because I believe that this is actually a physical thing that's also tied to an NFT. They're bleeding money and they're trying everything.
Yep, definitely.
Man, speaking of bleeding money and trying everything, it's not on a news docket, but apparently Ubisoft is planning to increase the Assassin's Creed team by, I think it was 40%. And they've got 2,000 developers on the Assassin's Creed series already, so that would bump them up another 800 really employees.
What the fuck do they do? It's Control C from the last Assassin's Creed and then Control V. They probably pay some dumbass marketing people $1 million to be like, yeah, cool, just slap this on a bunch of posters, make sure everybody knows it's coming out, and then all the best, break for lunch.
It's probably 800 people in India and Malaysia that just make assets.
They did that museum thing a while ago, and just museum stuff.
Crazy. The whole point of Assassin's Creed was the whole, like, at least back when I played it, it's been a long time since, though, might have changed, but it was a whole, like, here are all these historical figures that were actually part of some conspiracy, but we're going through such a rapid pace in terms of, oh, you know who else was in on it? This guy, and this guy, and this guy, that eventually just someone that you know could have been in on the giant New World Order conspiracy. Did they?
And then Excellent. They brought in aliens. Yeah, all the Roman and all the Roman gods were aliens, or like intelligent people of the past, like higher evolution humans that all died out, and they live on as AI.
Oh my god!
Didn't they just like stop doing that after like Assassin's Creed 4 or something? Because I don't know what's going on.
The plot line was kind of there, but then they continued and ended them in the comics. So Juno was released in Assassin's Creed 3, and she's died off in one of the comics because of Desmond's son. Desmond has a son, by the way, not brought up in any of the games. It's in the comic.
Because I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I've played a good chunk of Desmond's story, and that didn't come up
at
all.
Like 12. Yeah.
And I think the last Assassin's Creed game that came out has a character that ties into the comics, so I guess they're going to start trying to mix the two together now.
It seems like.
Do we want to really have a chat about Assassin's Creed lore right now?
Yeah. It seems like they're trying to push a lot of like bullshit fantasy for the lore, and I guess in that sense, it's kind of fitting that now they've tied that to an NFT, which is also bullshit fantasy. So maybe we have come full circle, and maybe it's actually a smart move on their part.
You know, NFT collections is definitely something that Abstergo Technologies would have started up. Maybe. So yeah, I can see Ubisoft jumping in on it.
Anyway, quick poll of the room. I do not give a shit about this.
I do not care.
You sleep?
I also do not care.
Three sleeps.
Like, it's NFTs. Who gives a shit?
Something that we do give a shit about, though. Sega deciding that, you know what? Maybe they can do something to persuade you to part ways with 10 more of your hard-earned dollary dues.
So do you want the ha-ha take, or do you want the serious take from me right now?
Hard take.
I am very excited to spend $70 on Sonic Adventure 1, Patrick. It's been so long, but I think I can finally make it work on my PC.
That is a ha-ha take. Hold up, let me just get the clown wig. Hang on. It's in here somewhere. I've got one specifically labeled Saif.
So hang on. So you're let me just having a fucking migraine. So how you playing Tears of the Kingdom?
I bought a physical copy and put it into my PC. Copy
is a wink, right? Okay.
Yes.
And when did Sonic Adventure come out?
It's a pirated SD card. Like, I don't know, 99, 98?
I don't know, man. Shut the fuck up. Please do not spend money on this.
See, this is why my favorite ha-ha takes are the ones that make Steven so exasperated like this. It was deadly
serious for Steve.
Yeah, I reckon it wasn't a ha-ha take, but I reckon he's...
There's also rumors that the next Sonic game is going to be a Sonic Adventure 1 remake.
Is that ha or is that serious?
Oh no. Well, that's not like a serious take or a haha take from me. That's just stating a rumor I've read online. The serious take is that the only games Sega makes that I think could be justified having a $70 price tag is the Yakuza games. Everything else, putting up the price.
Literally, the dollar to hour played ratio is for those Yakuza games is literally like if it's $1 per 1 hour played, you get literally 1-to-1 ratio. Sometimes it is 0.5 to 1. God, I need to play Yakuza 6.
If you're going for all the achievements, it's like
too much.
It's even bigger.
Yeah.
Cool. So we're all a fan of the number going up. I do we see?
Oh, I'm not a fan of the number going up. I'm just saying that
the ratio. Actually, I guess the ratio wants to go down. No, you're right. Good point. Sega.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant with the price.
I meant the ratio, but I still fucked up the direction. Don't worry about it. This obviously seems to be a trend that is going to pick up steam rather than slow down, which the Steam was
thanks Sony, thanks Take-Two.
Are there any publishers or groups that you think a $70 price tag would make sense just off rip?
Right now, it's just Sony for me. Like, they put out God of War Ragnarok. That justified the $70. Like, that's a massive super game.
That
I can see why they would. No, not right now. I don't think that justified their price
considering
jump.
It's running on the same hardware as Breath of the Wild, it doesn't fucking justify a jump. But this is inflation, baby.
Like imagine if God of War Ragnarok was just God of War 2018 again, with a couple of minor changes rather than like this whole massive.
Just 2018 with Koroks.
Yeah, like imagine. yeah. It's just 2018 again, but they added the extra realms.
Software.
That's it.
From Software could do it, because this is specifically in reference to Elden Ring, but this was my very nuanced take in that I would happily pay more money for Elden Ring because I want game companies to be incentivized to make those sorts of games and not just go, yeah, the game is $60, but let's also just put a fuck ton of monetization and everything else through it, because they didn't do that. And for them to get Game of the Year, they should be deserving of everything that they get. And if that's an extra $10 from me, speaking entirely for myself, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, you're right. And the fact that Armored Core is coming out at $60 USD is really surprising, because after Elden Ring, people would have been fine with paying the $70 USD for that.
Not going to spend too much longer on that. Any final thought from you, Steve?
I need to play Sonic Frontiers. That's my only thought. It's the first thought that came into my head.
Okay, well, last time I asked for your thoughts. Next up on the list, we have ROG Ally, which we've spoken about a little bit. The
Steam Deck killer, some might say.
Yeah, the Steam Deck killer, the Switch killer, the Switch precursor. You know, who's to say what we call this thing? But it's hitting Australia next month for the comparatively low price of $1,300 redos. Anyone?
Steven and Patrick, you might need to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but isn't that how much Josh paid for his Steam Deck, or roughly around that price tag?
I paid just over 1,100, I think, like 1,100. But I'm not sure if that includes delivery and the dumb import tax.
Yeah, no, with the import tax and everything included, I think was around this same price.
But he loves his Steam Deck.
Possible. I haven't done a currency conversion in terms of what this would be New Zealand dollar wise, but for a 512 gig console, it would probably be about what I'd expect the Steam Deck to go for. Because I think the Steam Deck came, because the base one's 64, I think, and then 128, and then 64, 256, 512, or 128, 256. I forget which.
I think it's
128, 256, 512.
No, there's
actually no.
There's
It's
only
64.
Three. There's only three. I'm pretty sure.
256 and
I don't know. I'm getting confused now.
Yeah, there's just three. I think the first one is 64, and it was like criminally low.
Yeah.
And people hate it
but
and don't buy that model.
The high capacity one, which I think did top out at 512.
Yeah,
1,300 Australian,
512.
roughly from the last time I looked at this, translated to New Zealand would be about what the Steam Deck was. So it's definitely not going to the lower price point that it was supposedly marketed at.
Yeah, no, what's interesting to me is that this is a local price. Like, this is being offered through JB Hi-Fi, the Steam Deck still isn't locally available here. Like we mentioned, Josh had to go through import taxes and shipping and everything. This is just going to be for an Australian retailer, so the ROG Ally is hitting us before the Steam Deck. And I think the Steam Deck's been out for like a year and a half
That's
now in the
really interesting
States.
because even in New Zealand, it's available. I don't know if I'm buying it through because that's
I think you're buying it
possible.
through a reseller.
But yeah, no, it's interesting that you're right. ROG is getting JB Hi-Fi access before the Steam Deck is. Any interest from either of you?
For that price, fucking no. Like, this article says, like, the price to power ratio is really good, but I have a decent PC already, so I don't need this in my life, I guess. Like, it's neat as a portable PC, like, as an alternative to the Switch. I don't go out enough to justify it. If I'm in bed, I'm trying to sleep, I'm not just laying down to play a portable. So yeah, like, this is a lot of money for something that would just be a paperweight for me.
I don't know. I do, as someone that my laptop can barely run any games at the moment. Like, you can barely fucking run Audacity, which is a fucking...
That's the best game of all time.
Yeah, audio. It's just audio, not video, not audio, just audio. Struggles with that. So I think...
Yeah, like, if you're interested in PC gaming and you're, like, in Steven's scenario, where your choice is get this for $1,300 or shell out $3,000 for a decent gaming computer, this does put up more of a decent comparison point and
I don't
interest
know.
rate.
I do sort of want a Steam Deck or something, but at the same time, it's like I've got the Xbox. It's that I don't know. The Xbox is my main console. Like, I'd just be getting
interesting. You've been playing Redfall on that, big fella?
Yeah, I have been. Yeah, wish I didn't. It plays a lot better if you.
It is on the Xbox.
If you wait like a week before playing it, in between like playing it. But it's I don't know. I would like to, but I realistically don't see that much usage out of it.
Yeah, it's sort of me as well. If there was a reason that it would go, say, on sale or something, then maybe. But yeah, similar vote. It'd be great.
If it was under 1K
Really?
Australian, I could
like the Steam
maybe
Deck or
think about it.
The ROG Ally. I get the feeling
The
like
ROG
the
Ally.
ROG, because it runs Windows, if I'm not mistaken.
It does. Yeah, it's a Windows 10.
Yeah, it's running on Windows, so it's just a
so
portable
like, you might be able to
computer.
justify it as like a weird work expense. Like, I'm not sure it's got word processing or anything.
Follow Steve for more smart tips.
I am simply animating on the train.
Gotta do what you gotta do. Like, it's, and from my understanding, the ROG Ally is fucking like heavier than this fucking Steam Deck. Like, it's twice or three times as heavy.
I think they were roughly the same weight. I think it might have actually been lower.
Oh, really?
Because
have I just made that up? ROG Ally versus Steam Deck.
We're getting into the weeds a bit. It seems like all three of us are sitting here thinking, probably on the sort of paperweight scale at the moment, and we all...
Yeah, there's no fucking way I'm paying $1,300 for it. Like, I paid $800 for the Xbox. Like, it's...
Yeah, no, I literally just wanted this on the docket because I think it's interesting. This is a new thing coming out that's a competition to Steam Deck, and it's coming here before the Steam Deck does. That's like just a really interesting thing to see
quite
happen.
a few of the people that know about the Steam Deck and would want to get the Steam Deck already have one, so hard to know.
Very true. Very true.
But the fact that you have to jump through hoops to get it is what's really annoying.
Like, as you said, like, what, 18 months since the Steam Deck's been out? Or no, I don't think it's 18. I think it's been like 6 or a year. Like, it's been a significant amount of time. Like, simply release it in Australia. Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of things, again, there was a great segue, and then Steve talked, and now the segue's dead.
There you go. There's your segue.
EU, that's no. EU regulators have approved the Activision Blizzard acquisition by Microsoft. Let's go to our live Xbox sex correspondent, Steve, in the field with the latest.
Don't call it that. I don't like that at all. So, the European Commission,
the X-Bone.
So it looks like the European Commission, as Pat said, has approved the merger, which is in contrast to the
CMA.
The CMA in the UK.
Yeah.
They did put a couple of caveats around cloud streaming, which is from my understanding of it, they pretty much said, "Oh yeah, cloud streaming's pretty wild, but as long as you sort of don't fuck around with it and make sure that there are other cloud gaming publishers, for lack of a better word, or services available out there, like it's fine." I'm not too sure if the cloud gaming thing is. I think that's just the argument that Sony positioned. Oh, sorry, not the argument Sony positioned. Sony was care about it, Call of Duty, but I'm not sure that cloud is the key point of this argument. I still don't really think it is, but it's
the key point that the CMA came to.
Even the European regulators do talk about cloud gaming. Yeah,
I'm gonna borrow Seth's clown wig for a sec, and yeah, here we go. Shit take inbound. I reckon the CMA goes and blocks this. Redfall releases. It's in such a shit state that the EU regulators are like, "Oh, what's the harm? what could possibly go wrong? This is their."
The harm is that Call of Duty becomes this.
But then Microsoft paid like what $69 billion to literally just tank an IP. That's
yeah.
I'm as petty.
How much did they pay for ZeniMax?
I'm as petty as an X guy, but I'm. Oh, ZeniMax.
It's the company that owns Bethesda.
I'm like a big cinema. But like, I'm petty as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to pay $69 billion just to buy a studio and be like, haha, Call of Duty shit now. You have to buy Redfall. And people aren't going to buy that. Like, they can only tank their own IPs so hard before. What are they going to do? Release Halo Infinite in like 8 years' time?
They need Call of Duty to come in and replace Halo.
They need old Halo to come in and replace Halo.
Yes.
So what's interesting to me is that like what Stephen was about to get into as well is that the CMA and the European Commission both kind of came to the same conclusion, but they went opposite ends of the direction in that the CMA was like, yeah, no, these remedies we don't think are good enough. It gives all of the power to Microsoft. We've read through the remedies and we don't think they're a healthy competition thing. While the EU's gone like, yeah, no, we've seen the remedies. We think this is fine. The 10-year deal, licensing deals are good enough as long as Microsoft follows these specific rules that we put in place. So it's interesting that they both came to the same conclusion of like, yeah, the cloud market is going to be important in the future, but one's blocking the deal because of that, and the other one's like, as long as you follow specific rules, we will allow it. And in the end, it doesn't matter all too much, because if the CMA keeps their stance and does not approve of it, even after Microsoft and Activision try to overturn it and appeal the process, if the CMA just sticks to their guns and they don't have to overturn it, then deal is still dead either way. This just goes into the process of the CMA does get their decision overruled, then this is one step closer for them to the merger happening. Yeah,
it's looking good. We still got to wait for like the US FTC and the appeal that goes for the CMA. That might change a couple of things, but the EU does make things.
It's going to be very interesting because I think both the CMA appeal and the FTC court dates are after Microsoft has to pay Activision $3 billion in holding fees.
Yeah, $3 billion just for being like, you didn't do your due diligence. Oh, and it's not even like their fault. The process just took so fucking long. Oh.
Anyway, I'm sure there'll be more to talk about because there always is with that shit show. Next up.
Hopefully not for a while.
We need to reset our days since talked about Activision Blizzard counter. Next up on the list.
Reset the counter again. We just reset the counter because we talked about an Activision Blizzard article, and now we've got to reset it again because we're going to go into another one.
Yes.
It's been 0 seconds since we last talked about Activision Blizzard.
That threw me so hard because all I'm trying to do is segue, but man's keeping me down. Next up, on the docket, this is just titled Weeb Shit, so I think this one's yours, Seth.
Weeb Shit.
Wait, what? Oh! Right, yeah, no, my tabs were out of
that's why your Activision Blizzard stuff just threw me for a fucking
Never
loop.
Mind then.
Anyway, yeah, so get into your Weeb Shit.
Yeah, no, so apparently Konami is going to be suing Cygames, who run like Fate Grand Order, Grand Blue Fantasy, and for the purposes of this this appeal, Uma Musume, I think it's called. It's the horse girl anime and horse girl gacha game on
yes,
mobile.
The horse girl gacha game on mobile.
Yeah, so what's happened is that Konami is claiming that Cygames has done this, put a system into the game that infringes on one of their patents, in like how friendship events happen in the game. Yeah, so I don't know how this is going to turn out. I just think this is really funny that this is happening, and if this goes bad for Konami, then rip them, because Cygames is fucking huge. And I'm seeing a lot of people like dooming and glooming over this because Cygames helps with the Last Zone of the Enders re-release. So they think Konami will be petty enough to delist
Holy
it
shit.
because
I'm
of
just
this
reading
lawsuit.
through the comments on this article.
Oh, good, gold one. That's how you get the real news.
Someone with an anime profile pic.
Steven is very upset because the only source I have for this at the moment in English is someone having to translate it on Reset Error.
Anime profile pic who talked about how the horse girl gacha game apparently surpassed $2 billion in revenue in 2 years.
Jesus fucking
Christ. So you know when I said as a haha funny that we should ban the internet, I'm down to one ha. It's now a ha funny. I'm slightly more serious about banning the internet. That's fucked.
If you want to get into the weird headcanons,
not one bit.
No.
You can't mention
not headcanons.
Gacha girl horse head fucking anime and then say
theories.
headcanon. All right, that sends signals.
If you want to get into the weird conspiracy theories around this game, apparently it might have ties to Yakuza, and they can use it to move
slowly
and
approaching
launder money.
zero hard ban the internet.
Just ban the Yakuza.
I think Japan does that.
Yeah, we tried that. They just turned it into a video game series. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Any final thoughts from you on that, Saif? I don't really know enough to have any final thoughts from my end.
Yeah, there's not enough here to form any big thoughts yet. But if this goes, it's just going to be really funny seeing this play out. I can't believe that Konami is trying to sue one of the biggest mobile game developers.
Speaking of trying to sue one of the biggest video game developers, let's reset that Activision Blizzard counter back to 0 again. We need a tornado siren or something. Overwatch 2, and I'm in this group. Played Overwatch 1 for a bit. Saw them talk about Overwatch 2, thought, why are they doing a second game? And then saw that same little couple-minute video from, I guess, BlizzCon 2019, whatever it was, 2019, where Jeff Kaplan, I think it was, stood up and talked about how Overwatch 2 was going to have PvE. It was going to have really extensible and replayable missions and hero mode and character progression and like skill trees,
story,
all of the things that made it an actual sequel from Overwatch 1. I was in. I was super excited. I was in, and I started looking at it more. I turned towards it a bit more. I played Overwatch 1 a fair bit for the first year or two when it came out, and then stopped various reasons.
Initially, I believe they also tried to say that Overwatch 1 would be the multiplayer game and Overwatch 2 would be the PvE single player experience sort of thing. So that would be the reason why those two existed.
And then it slowly
they would be
pulled
separate
into Overwatch 2 is
existences.
going to replace Overwatch 1 just for the PvP stuff because there's a whole bunch of tech debt. Fair enough. I can understand and buy that. PvE stuff is coming. It's obviously a big change from what they're doing normally, so they're releasing the PvP version for Overwatch 2 now, sunsetting Overwatch 1, and then PvE will come out. Fine. That didn't entice me to get Overwatch 2 because I'm not really interested in the PvP anymore. I'm interested in the PvE. And now, as of the last sort of 24 hours, it's come out that they are suspending work on the PvE, and the closest thing they'll get is adding a couple co-op missions to the roadmap for seasons 5 and 6 for the live service model for PvP. And this is This
Which
is
they did in
disappointed.
Overwatch 1.
The internet, I think. Yeah.
Overwatch fans. It disappointed Overwatch fans while the rest of the internet pointed
I'm
and
not even
laughed
sure
at
if that's
Blizzard.
true. I think there are quite a few people in my boat who I wouldn't call myself an Overwatch fan, or at least not recently.
Fan's a strong word, isn't it?
I probably would have called myself a fan when I was actively playing it, but now it was more like an Overwatch observer. But I assume a lot of people like me, were holding out hope that the PvE would be the draw to bring them back in without being fans, because if you just think about what they could do with this, it's such a strong world to start with. The characters are all fleshed out. We always got the little trailer drops. It's almost like the Meet the series from TF2, where it really personalized the stories for a lot of these characters. And so they had all the pieces there to make a really compelling PvE experience. And I love playing PvE. Like, I don't play Dota 2 anymore, and the last thing that I did play in Dota 2 was Aghanim's Labyrinth, a co-op PvE that takes place in Dota 2 as a custom mode, almost exactly like how they described this would take place. I also really liked Warframe or Borderlands or so many other PvE skill tree, like Payday is another one, like skill tree based replay missions, probably some grinding in there. I like grinding. I play fucking Monster Hunter for fun. But all of that, and to be told, hey, we've been working on this since 2019, which is 4 years. And I think even at that demo, they showed off little bits of it, or at least they've showed little clips and videos since of little progress updates to kind of tease and keep interest in it. And so to come out after 4 years and say, we're at a crossroads where either we continue investing in PvE and eventually land something, in the future, or suspend it and then put our efforts into the PvP experience, it's disappointing, because the PvP experience was something that I stopped caring about after who was it? Character begin with M. They had the 2 orbs, I think.
I don't know. Dragon Knight.
No. People gave him the loving nickname David Bowie, because he had the two different sort of styles on each half. I forget the character's name. I think it begins with an M.
I'm completely lost on this character.
Pre Brigida. It was a couple characters before Brigida. Was the last sort of patch that I was around playing Overwatch for. But yeah, anyway, I'm
Moira? If you mean Moira, that's a woman, not a man.
The invisible hacker type one. Maybe not M. Oh,
no, that's
it doesn't matter.
Sombra.
Keep going.
Shit, it might have been Moira then. Maybe it was. Anyway, the point being, haven't played Overwatch for a while. I was really looking forward to this, because this would have been the thing that would pull me back into Overwatch, because I really liked the world. I just hated the toxicity of PvP, and it's sad that Activision Blizzard is like doing their best to just absolutely stifle yet another IP under their umbrella. So I can't tell whether I'm more mad or more sad at this. I think leaning towards the sad, because it's just disappointing, and I feel for the people that forked out for bits of Overwatch 2 and played the PvP to kind of, get back into Overwatch
with the controller as well.
For waiting for True. Before the PvE was due to drop. So yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on this?
It's fucking disappointing. I'll be very honest with everybody. I did enjoy my time, however brief, with Overwatch 2.
Holy shit, yeah, it's Moira.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. But yeah, I get the feeling especially since it was free to play, I was sort of hoping the PvE content would be free to play, and I would have probably jumped into it, because I sort of do like, especially when Overwatch first came out and there was a bunch of characters that they sort of were doing those animated shorts for. I sort of do. Fondness isn't the right word, but they are recognizable. Like there's that English Tracer, and there's Genji being fucking cool, and there's that Monkey Winston. I was looking forward to it. It was definitely on my radar. Just a fucking shame they've canned it, and it really begs the question: why the fuck do they do Overwatch 2 then?
Yeah, that's the question everyone's asking, because Overwatch 2, every review of the PvP, of course, because I don't know if they ever said that Overwatch 2 fully released or if they just said that the PvP component of Overwatch 2 released. But I guess now they can kind of retroactively say Overwatch 2 has been released. But every review said it's an update for Overwatch 1 because the main difference is going from 6 heroes per team to 5. But
it's just a different mode.
Yeah, but like that and a bunch of balance changes, which I think led to their own issues. There was some balance change that fucked up a bunch of things as well. Anyway, it was a messy launch. It was a messy launch.
They had to remove a few characters at certain points. Like, I think Tracer was taken out of the game for a little bit because of the glitches. Did May ever get released from prison?
Was also in jail for a little bit. But yeah, just stuff that you wouldn't think would happen as a sequel game rather than just a game update to the existing game. So yeah, what are the rest of your thoughts on this, Seth?
Yeah, so like just off the bat, I wasn't interested in this because I am abstaining from Activision and Blizzard games. I haven't played them for a while now, and I don't have any interest in going into any of them.
You're safe.
We had the counter to talk about them, not actually engage with them in a playing at the video game level. No, it's really weird to see that the entire reason Overwatch 2 was meant to exist as a project, getting up and cancelled like this. Yeah. It's such a weird thing to see, and so it's essentially they've just gone, yeah, I guess Overwatch 2 is now just a free-to-play Overwatch 1 with one less character per team.
Yep.
And a battle pass added to supplement the loot boxes. Yeah, so it's really dumb that this happened.
One of the weird things, there are so many weird things as part of this, but it seems like everyone that's bore the brunt of the PR side of this has said we've made the difficult decision, but no one has come out and said it was my decision that this happened. It seems like everyone wants to finger point somewhere else in the decision-making process that this happened.
Oh, it's everyone's fault but mine, yeah.
Like, it feels like that a little bit, because everyone, I don't know,
it's probably a collaborative thing. Like, the entire heads of the teams had to come together, talk about whether it was still worth doing or not, and then collectively went, no, we have to get rid of it. So it's not just one person, but it's a bunch of people coming together and making that decision.
It always sits weird with me when someone comes out and says, it's with a really heavy heart that we have to suspend work on this, and it sucks because all the developers are really excited and all this other stuff, and we feel your pain, guys. We're in the trenches with you, and it's like, but you're not, because this can't have been I don't think this was a decision that they made yesterday, that suddenly Overwatch 2 can't come out, and so it feels really disingenuous.
No, this was a decision they made when they announced it.
It feels really disingenuous when they come out with a very PR scripted thing to be like, we understand exactly how the community feels, and this is the reality, blah, blah, blah. Fine. If it's because of how much money you've sunk into it, tell us that. It's I don't know. It's the being treated or being run through a lawyer's sort of wheelhouse when at its core, remember back when Blizzard was sort of like a gaming company for gamers by gamers? I don't know. Yeah. It smells so corporate-y now to be like, hey guys, we know that this decision sucks for you. It's like, okay, who are you trying to appease by saying that you know the decision's hard? This has disappointed so many people, and if it's because of legitimate reasons, it's because of legitimate reasons. Shit happens, but don't make it sound like you guys are just as disappointed as we are, because I very much doubt that.
I think both can exist. The PR statement sucks, but I do think that the development team that was in the trenches trying to make this it can be on that same level of disappointment that it's not coming together.
Sure, but what I'm saying is it's not the developers that are taking the PR hit for this. It's someone above developers, probably stuck somewhere in middle management, where people above them go shut it down and the people below them go keep it on. And so then they're in the middle going like, hey, we know that this decision's hard. It's like, do you?
I think those people can still, on some level, go for it, because they can be like really into the idea of it happening and trying to make it work, and maybe they have been for the last couple of years, just trying to get it to work, trying to make it come together. And yeah, in the end, someone's had to come in and say, no, we have to shut it down. And getting something shut down like this sucks, no matter what level of the totem pole you're on, except maybe like high up CEO position, who doesn't actually give a shit. They just want to see their money printed.
I think the two other factors. So you're right. You are right, and I think I'm smarting a little bit more about this one because I don't know. I feel like this is one that if it had come out would have actually made me go, maybe Activision Blizzard isn't all bad, no matter how hard they try and convince me otherwise. But this is also in the context of they announced it in 2019. They had little bits and pieces of it to show over the last 4 years, and then at the end of 4 years go, actually, let's just can it. And it's also in the context of a $70 billion acquisition.
Do you reckon that did something to it? Like it might have like, oh, hang on, let's just wait for Microsoft to come inject all this money and everything will be fine. And it's like, oh shit, that might not be coming.
To be honest,
there's a lot of conspiracy theories going around that both sides are really hoping this deal would be done by now, so that Activision Blizzard could use that money to make things, and Microsoft could bolster their year by having Activision Blizzard games coming out to enhance their console.
I think fucking no one's. It's everybody's thinking it. No one's saying it.
I think.
Yeah, it's just like really stupid of both companies to not have things in the meantime while this deal's being done. It really feels like that from both sides of it. They're just really banking on this deal being done now, and then they would take off rather than all hands on deck, still do things while the merger is being in discussion.
I can see that. And I think I don't think the deal outright had an impact. I think this one hurts me particularly because we saw, I don't actually remember, when was Diablo Immortal announced?
Oh, fucking Immortal 4
20,
a while ago.
Was that 20? Okay, so that
2017 maybe? I feel like that meme is ancient about is this an outdated April Fool's joke?
What Overwatch 2 could be in a PvE sort of thing. I guess part of me hoped that this would be an IP that Activision Blizzard just couldn't fuck up. They weren't trying to bring it to mobile. They were trying to extend it in a way that made sense, PvE, on familiar platforms, expanding the lore and all this other stuff. It was like, how could you fuck this up? I'm not suggesting that it's a trivial thing to go and make happen, but all of the pieces were there for this to actually be something good for a change out of Activision Blizzard. And so to get it shit canned is kind of more painful, because when they announced Diablo Immortal, I'm not a big Diablo guy, but like it looked kind of like Diablo has always been kind of interesting to me. But they announced Diablo Immortal. It's on phone. Okay, I hate it. We've talked about why, all the mobile gaming stuff. It then goes to beta, and people feedback that yep, it's exactly what everyone thought it was. Game gets released. Yep, it's exactly what everyone thought it was. Cool. I have no investment because I never thought it would be anything, and it's not for me in any way to begin with. Meanwhile, this game, hey, here's a game that's tailored almost exclusively to what I really like in games. Here it is, as the first little taste of Overwatch 2 is releasing. PvE isn't here yet, but Overwatch 2 itself is released. Interesting. I'm still in. I'm still invested. PvE, still in the works, because Overwatch 2 launched, months, maybe even last year. I don't remember when it launched, but it's coming. Just let them cook. Let them cook. Suddenly, gone. Nothing. All the little bits that you thought you might enjoy about this game have been ripped out from underneath you. There weren't any red flags that it was going to be a shit show on launch. It was just, here it was ticking along, and now it's not. and that's why it hurts. That's why this one hurts me a lot more. I don't know. I don't want to just dunk on Activision Blizzard like we do every other fucking week. But yeah, this sucks. That's basically my end of it. Final thoughts from you two?
Yeah, no, let's can it. You've said everything we've got to say. It's disappointing. I'm getting the same like Anthem revival vibes. It's like, yeah, it's coming. Oh yeah, by the way, it's not coming anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this sucks, and it's from my end. It's funny to see that the entire reason Overwatch 2 as a concept exists is now gone. So Overwatch 2 is basically just rebranded Overwatch 1. But for anyone that was interested in this happening and, God forbid, trying to get into the lore of Overwatch, this sucks for them. And I really also dislike that their way to circumvent it is by doing limited time events that are PvE, which is something that already existed in Overwatch 1. Like they're just recycling everything from that game again, but under a new banner.
Someone, I don't remember where I saw the comment, but it was an interesting one, said that Overwatch 2 is also interesting in that because the focus of this was expanding the story and the lore and telling the different stories through this, that this universe is a ripe environment for Arcane-style series. And I thought, holy shit, that's like the idea of the Overwatch group in the sort of canonical lore of the game is ripe for storytelling. It kind of is a Guardians of the Galaxy, but on, I guess, Earth. As far as I know, it's still only Earth, but
the initial CGI trailer alone kind of sets it up as, well, the first few CGI trailers, I guess, really set up the world in an interesting way that it could be a animated series.
Let's finish on a high though. We've reset the Activision Blizzard counter again, and hopefully don't have to touch it for as long as we can. We have some Summer Games Fest news. I'm gonna let which of you wants to take this final news piece?
Saif can, because I'm still waiting for Game of Christmas next month. So I'm not even thinking about Summer Games Fest.
This will be Game of Christmas next month.
US. Sorry, I'm Southern Hemisphere bias is showing.
You prejudicial fuck.
This man has not read the tweets. Because they clearly state that on June 8th, the Summer Game Fest,
I will see him at the Game Awards.
Jeff Keighley himself will go live on stage and murder
and then he will proceed to have sex with Hideo and Kojima.
He will have sex with 40 partners, including Capcom, PlayStation, Square Enix, and Xbox.
And applauds.
While the internet watches. But yeah, he's basically on June 8th doing his a big showcase event with 40 partners to show off a bunch of games like an E3 event would be.
We can't call it that.
So yeah, for legal reasons we can't call it E3. That is no longer happening. But Jeff Keighley is here to make sure that we still get something close to that. And you know what? That's great. I'm excited for that. Having a big event in the year where everyone just comes in and goes, here's all the cool shit we have planned for the next year or two. That's always really good to see. That keeps interest in the in the hobby alive.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add to that. Anything from you, either of you?
I can't wait. Next month's a good month. Clear your calendars, fellas. I reckon we just have like a list episode at the end of the month and just do
what we always do.
Yeah.
At the end of the month, huh?
So we can round up
why do we have to
everything.
wait till the end of the month? Why can't we do it after the Keighley event?
You know what? Let's see how we go.
Sweet.
I agree with Steven. We'll see how we go.
Just because I saw it in passing. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, now as part of PlayStation Plus. Download it, play it, it's good.
Yeah, PlayStation Plus Extra. So the one where you get like a bunch of free games to play, not the one that gives you a free game to own forever. Is like the weird in between Game Pass one.
play it. If you don't, play it anyway. It's good.
Yeah. It's just this has hit the point where they're comfortable going, yeah, we'll just let people play Ratchet and Clank on our not Game Pass.
But that means we've moved on from the what am I trying to say? We finished the news for this week.
Yay! We did it.
We did it, fellas. We did it, Patrick.
We saved the town. Bit of a long one, but the Overwatch 2 stuff is
it's valid because I don't know. It does suck. It sucks for a whole bunch of reasons. There are a bunch of people will be very disappointed over this.
Oh god, we've actually been going over 3 hours. Patrick, when I said this before we started recording, I didn't actually intend for it to be this long. I thought I was just making it ha funny. I didn't think this was an actual serious.
Buddy. I might have a second clown wig for you in this large bag next to my desk.
Can you reverse the colors on it?
Cancel.
So the first wig is like the rainbow in the correct position, and then the other one is like rainbow in reverse.
White old woman hair. All the colors cancel out.
They meet in the middle.
Or is it like kids' art class where it just goes to that brown sludge?
Oh yeah, no, that's perfect. If we swallow a little, it can look like a giant turd.
Anyway, as I say, end of the news, and therefore end of the episode. If you have enjoyed what you listened to, feel free to give us basically everything Steve said 3 hours ago. Weird thing to say. All of the like, subscription, comments, they all help on your preferred podcast
give that
platform
subscribe
of
button
choice.
a big lick.
A big lick. Not a... Yeah, not a smooch.
A lick this week, even, not a smooch.
Tongue lick.
Ooh.
Turn yourself into a licky tongue. Or licky.
Do that, but then clean it off afterwards. And then do it to someone else as well.
Yeah, you know what? Do it to your work computer. While you're at work. No flexible work arrangements here. You go into that office and you lick that screen, and there's not a touch screen.
And then someone asks you what you're doing, and then you just have to like awkwardly get the mouse and then click subscribe.
No, you don't. You tell them what you're listening to, and then that counts as one friend that you've passed it on. You got 4 more friends to tell about.
If they ask for any additional information after you've told them the name, just tell them to listen themselves. Actually, maybe they can skip episode 1. Maybe they can skip the first 68. Now that is an interesting take, because are you talking about the first one we recorded or the first one we released?
Anyway, getting off topic as we always do. This brings us to the end of episode 73. I don't think there's anything to hint at for next week. A little bit more Tears of the Kingdom perhaps from you two, but anything else on the horizon?
Man, there's so many video games. Got to finish Persona 3.
Cool. I'll just say that as a no. That's cool. Anyway.
I can't remember if I said it in the podcast or if I said it right before we started recording, but I'll watch a Mario movie during this week, and God forgive me, Patrick forgive me, but I may talk about anime next week.
God, Patrick, or just like God and Patrick?
God Patrick.
God Patrick. There we
Patrick,
go.
Patrick, the god of the
title.
podcast.
I mean, there's also like a doctor in there as well. Don't worry about it. It's a whole thing. Mr. Dr. Professor Patrick.
Mr. Dr. Patrick.
The god, of course. That's in there too. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to episode 73. Looking forward to you guys visiting the lounge again, but until then, we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
See you on the 7 seas. Happy birthday, Ocean.
You said that one already.